are now listening to the War Rapport Podcast Network.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the College Loop Gameday Special, a 2-hour nonstop, all you can possibly think Auburn football show. Tarr, how you feeling, buddy?
All you can eat. Thursday night, there's SEC football on tonight. Missouri taking on
South Dakota.
And Auburn football 2 days away.
You've got Florida-Utah is playing.
Florida-Utah this evening as well. Sorry
I have
about that.
On the monitor.
Yep, there is SEC football tonight. There's Auburn football on Saturday, and I am stoked. Daniel, how are you doing?
You know, you pretty much hit all the nails on the heads, man. It's been a great day. Had a very nice round of golf at RTJ. So feeling good. The vibes are running high in Auburn, Alabama. Finally have a good-looking setup here in Auburn again. So that's an absolute dub, courtesy of my mother who's watching. Hi, Mom. I've never done that, and she asked me to. So had to oblige. But just happy to be here, man.
That's right. Hi, Daniel's mom. For those of you who have lived under a rock this week and have not seen anything about the College Loop live stream that's jam-packed today, first off, we're glad you're here. Glad you had those YouTube notifications on. Glad to have you hanging out. Make sure you drop comments throughout the show. We want to hear your feedback. The last 20 minutes or so, if we need to bleed over, that's fine. It's going to be us answering your questions. And if you guys have specific questions for guests on the show, that is absolutely encouraged. That is absolutely appreciated. The way we're going to go about this is we've got time slots with a star-studded lineup. Here in just a couple minutes, we're going to bring the College Loop Group of 5 analyst, Jonathan Conley, on. He's going to talk about UMass and what they can look like. We've also got a preview coming out tomorrow with quite possibly the coolest writer byline name I've ever heard, Johnny Deppen, the sports editor at the Daily Collegian for the University of Massachusetts Amherst. At 7:15, we will have Vince Wolfram of Eagle Eye TV talking Robbie Ashford quarterback, situation, all of that fun stuff. James Barnett, what's up, my man? Good to see you. Welcome to the stream. Glad you're here. At 7:25, we will have Ike on. And we also will have Mike on. So we have all of the War Rapport here. Ike's going to talk breakout players. Mike G at 7:40. He's going to talk that receiver room. Dustin from the Up-Tempo podcast will be here later. That'll be the front 7 outlook. Blake also be there. So both the Up-Tempo boys will be here. He'll be talking DBs. Blake will be talking that at 8 o'clock. So at the top of the hour, Auburn Sports Network, Jacob Hillman will be here at 8:10. He's on his way back from Tiger Talk right now. So a lot of you guys are probably just fresh off listening to that. You can hear from him at 8:10 talking 2023 stat leaders. And then editor of the Auburn Plainsman, Jacob Waters, he'll be on at 8:20 talking the top 5 most important games of the 2023 season. And then we'll have Eagle Eye TV's very own scholarship award winner, by the way, Zach Card. He'll be on the show at 8:30 talking Auburn's floor and ceiling in 2023. John Crane, I see your question about Jarquez Hunter. I promise we are going to get to a running back segment very early, very, very early, and we will be talking that here shortly. But we're gonna reserve that one until we get a little more on the stream, and we're also going to talk a little bit to Ike and Mike G about that as well. Hearing what they've got to say, even if that's a little off script. Dylan, did I get all that right?
I believe you did. It's kind of hard to mess up when the graphic is just right there in your face.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to make sure that I don't mess up. That's okay. James, you're a hype man. I appreciate you, man. You guys have me wanting to run through a wall. I'm excited with 3 freeze emojis, a couple of eyeballs. I mean, dude, we're just pumped. College football is back. Auburn football is back on the plains. And if you're not already pumped enough, let's talk about that week 1 opponent. Let's bring on, Dylan, if you're good with this, let's bring on College Loop Group of 5 analyst John Conley onto the show. John, how are you, my friend? Welcome back.
Oh, I'm doing great. I'm excited to be here. I'm super excited to break down this week 1 game. I'm excited that college football is getting started. Again, we've got some SEC ball going on. I've got some Sun Belt ball with me going on as well. And so I'm super excited.
Good, man. Well, we're pumped. We're glad to have you back analyzing some more G5, independent this time. And want to hear your thoughts on the UMass Minute win. Already 1-0 on the year. Floor is yours. Talk to us about strengths, weaknesses, what Auburn fans need to look out for, things that you're looking for. And then we'll kind of – I'll shut up and let Dylan and Daniel kind of cook a little bit after you've given your speech.
Awesome. Well, I got to say, it's really good the Minutemen started off 1-0 because after this weekend, they're going to need that one extra win because it is not going to look pretty after this Saturday. I can guarantee you that. The Minutemen came off of a really impressive is a delicate word to walk around when it comes to their win against New Mexico State. They played very scrappy on offense, a lot of big plays, a lot of kind of improvisation that came through. Tyson Fomakan is their starting quarterback. This is his first real opportunity to get a chance to start and play. He's been in Clemson for a little bit, went to Georgia Tech for a year, but now this is really his team, and this is his chance to show what he can do. And listen, he's an athlete. He can move around. He has a little bit of deceptive ability to kind of spread out a linebacker thin, but ultimately pressure gets the best of him in a lot of situations. And so if you're Auburn, bring the pressure.
That tracks. When we're looking at it on the defensive side of the ball, they did force UMass did force some turnovers on the defensive side of the ball on Saturday.
So UMass actually impressed me a little bit in their defense. They like to play a really tight nickel defense. They like to bring in an extra defensive back. They typically play 2 to 3 linebackers at a time. Depending on the situation, they'll rush 4, they'll rush 3. I noticed they like to rush 3 in empty sets for the offense. They've got an eye to keep out for is Tyler Rudolph. He was their leading tackler this first game. He's a safety. He can fly, and he is everywhere where the ball is. So whether you're going to run the ball, whether you're going to pass the ball, you're going to see him out there. He's making plays. This team defensively is actually kind of fun to watch. Typically, when you talk about things that are fun, you're talking about the offense. But this defense has some fast linebackers, some fast safeties, DBs that can really kind of be all over the place.
Right on, man. Well, WDE Chris Causey said, "What's up, fellas? War Eagle." Hey, what's up, man? Thanks for joining on the stream. For those of you guys who are watching at home, if you've got questions for John Conley, this is your G5 guy. This is your time to pick his brain. So absolutely drop those in the comments. Dylan, Daniel, floor is yours to pick John's brain while we've got him at our disposal.
All right, John. So the biggest news that just broke for Auburn is the fact that Jarquez Hunter will not be on the field on Saturday. But here's the thing about Auburn's running back room. It's deep. It goes very deep. It is probably one of the deepest in the country. It makes the Grand Canyon look not deep. That's how deep it is. And so this is going to be the Damari Alston game right off the bat. But is there a shot that UMass sees an opportunity without Jarquez Hunter on the field? My short answer for that is honestly probably not. But here's one thing to look out for. They've got some really good defensive linemen. Their linemen are good. They can beat the trenches. The issue with them is their linebackers are a little small. So if you can get to the second level, get to those linebackers, especially if you can get a guard out there that can move up there with the run, it's going to be a breeze running through that team. That's something that New Mexico State did a little bit with Starr, and then with Diego Pavia, he was able to really kind of move around and use his ability to run to get through the linebackers, get to that second level. So if you can get to that second level with this UMass defense, you're going to be just fine.
Right on. Daniel, any further questions on that front? Also, I do want to mention the announcement of Jarquez Hunter not playing, and I know that was addressed earlier today, earlier in the chat by John Crane. Jarquez Hunter not expected to play per Justin Hokanson from on 3. I don't expect it to be a huge blow, as John Crane just mentioned in the comments. You want to throw that? Can we throw that one up there real quick, Dylan? Is that a feature we have here? Yes. Damari Alston. Yes, this dude's a beast. And it was a matter of time. So I would not worry too much. Daniel, your concern. Sorry to cut you off there.
No, you're all good. So, John, who is a name on the offensive side of the ball other than the quarterback for UMass? Not even going to try that name. I know you just said it, and I have full confidence you got it right. My family watching would not be happy with me. This is a little bit of a I don't know what the word is here. Not hometown matchup, but you know what I'm saying. A little bit of one. So, who's the name on the offensive side of the ball that I need to be looking out for?
To me, I've got 2. It's their starting running back, K'Ron Lynch-Adams. He had actually a very impressive game on the ground, 15 carries, 79 yards. Again, this team likes to – it was a lot of big plays, big chunk plays. He was able to get to that second level of linebackers and even get a couple times into the defensive backs with some big runs. And then my other one is Anthony Simpson. He was their second leading receiver, but he had the most catches on the team. This team's not going to throw a lot. This team's going to be a lot of running, whether it's with the quarterback or it's with their running backs. They're not going to toss it around a lot. They had 10 total catches in this entire game against New Mexico, so they're not throwing it a lot. But when they are, look for Anthony Simpson to make a play because I think he's a guy that can.
But making a play is going to be very hard whenever you're going against guys like DJ James, Nehemiah Pridgett, Keontae Scott, Jalen Simpson, Zion Puckett, Kyan Lee, Champ Anthony. I could go on and on and on and on. Daniel?
Sorry, I just had to interject here. On the first play from scrimmage, touchdown Utah, 70-yard touchdown reception from Money Parks. Figured everyone listening might be interested in that, but yeah.
And that's Utah without Cam Rising, right?
Correct.
Wow. Okay. Interesting.
Sorry, Dylan.
Those interesting.
Daniel, I'm watching the game. No one scored yet. Utah just got the ball.
Dude, I must be ahead of you because I promise it just happened.
You're ahead of the ESPN app too, or you must be watching it from Utah, dude.
I promise.
Did it just happen?
Or you could be watching on YouTube TV. Anyways.
I could be very late. I don't know. I'm still on highlights.
While we still got you, John, since we're not talking about Florida, this is not a Florida podcast. While we still got you, UMass can hang with Auburn for how long? How many quarters? How many minutes of game time?
UMass, I really think can hang. They can hang with them through the first quarter, maybe going into halfway into the second quarter, roughly. The big thing for UMass is you have to take advantage of that big play offense that you like to try. You have to take advantage of trying to take shots, throw it deep, use the running game that you do have with your running backs and your mobile quarterback to, cause some confusion on defense. But I wrote it down here. As long as Hugh Freeze does this right here, it says blitz. As long as he does that and makes this first year starting quarterback, his first year getting a chance to start, make him uncomfortable. You make him uncomfortable. You make him have to second guess what he's going to do. Make him try to play superhero ball. It's going to be a done and deal before we even start the game.
That's I like that. Do you have a final score prediction you can give us?
Oh gosh, probably in the realm of maybe 63. We'll go 13.
63-13 Auburn. Okay.
Yeah.
While we've still got you, before you get out of here, we did have someone say, can't wait to watch Damari step up. Do we think that Jeremiah Cobb will see the field? That's actually a really good question. I don't know. I would think that he may get some touches this game, and that's going to be a great question for Mike G, and for Ike. Those guys are probably going to have a little better intel on that front. But you also want to be careful with that red shirt, gentlemen. Mm-hmm. John, just out of your matter of opinion, is this a game worth burning a red shirt, burning one of your 4 red shirt games on?
I would probably lean against no. If you're gonna use a red shirt, if you're gonna burn one of these games for your red shirt, especially against one of your cupcake games that you want to have it, make it against New Mexico State. Do it against do it in that game prepping for the Iron Bowl, and then that way too, if needed, you can use him in that game if push comes to shove. So I would say, I would be a little hesitant against burning one of his games for right now. Wait until a little bit later on in the year when, in case you absolutely need him.
Excellent. Good take there, John. Dylan, I'm going to let John get out of here because we do have somebody else waiting backstage. Is that unless you've got something to grab for?
Well, I was going to go ahead and say Daniel has a Pac-12 network, and with that, he has a fiber running from the Pac-12 network to his apartment. Because I just saw the touchdown that he just mentioned about 45 seconds ago.
Or it could be
I wasn't making it up.
It could be that way around. I just have bad connection. But I do think we should probably go around the horn, kind of giving up some upgraded predictions, because we did give ours like very long ago.
We will do you Daniel and I will do that at the bottom of the show. I promise.
Gotcha.
B. Will's forehead, college football on one screen and the college loop on the other. Happy college football season in War Eagle. That sounds like a damn good evening. Thank you so much, B. Will's forehead. You're the man. John, thanks so much for coming back on, man. Our G5 analyst, the man, an absolute dog. Tell everybody where they can find you, where they can come hang out with you on Twitter and talk some ball.
Absolutely. I've had a pleasure being here. I love being here. I'll be here anytime you ever want me. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at JohnLee49. That is where typically I post all of my things on Twitter. I'm very active. I'm always posting about sports and just other life things. And so that's typically where you can interact with me there. So, yeah.
Right on. John Conley, everyone. Thanks so much, buddy. We'll see you soon.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Yes, sir. All right, at this time, sorry, Dylan, I'm just going to let you manipulate that. First off, we have to ask this one. This is hilarious. Where's it at? Does Daniel's dad own the Locked On Network? From Riley M. Are you
Well, Riley, unfortunately, no. My father's a software engineer. However, the David Locke, who does own the Locked On Network, the founder of it, former play-by-play announcer for the Utah Jazz, I have met him twice. And I have told him that my goal is to have a Locked On podcast one day because, it's just too perfect. Locked On Patriots with Daniel Locke. Like, come on. Like, you can't beat that.
Too perfect. All right, at this time, let's bring on a minute late. Sorry for the advertising, false advertising, folks. Let's bring on Vince Wolfram of Eagle Eye TV. My man, the myth, the legend, the certified ball knower. How you doing, my man?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Hey, man, better now that you're here.
Oh,
better now that
you're here. Ditto.
That's right, man. Are you what games you got on behind on other screens right now? You can be honest with us.
I'm actually not watching any, so I'm trying to keep it cool till I know Georgia Tech, Louisville. I'm from Louisville. I'm not a Louisville fan though.
Are you going to the game?
No, I'm gonna watch it tomorrow night. I'll be tuned. And then Saturday, stake out. Just watch all those games. I'm excited.
That's right, man. Well, we're excited to be talking Auburn ball with you right here, right now. I was hoping you're going to the Tech game because I'm going to Tech game tomorrow night. Let's start off really, really quick before we jump into the quarterback conversation. James Barnett had another really good one. Fellas, the question is, how long will Cobb stay once he actually starts playing? Whether it's this year or next year, he plays 2 good years and he's probably gone. Right? Thoughts. I think Jeremiah Cobb's committed to Auburn. In terms if we're worried about him going elsewhere via the portal.
I think he means NFL.
I was about to say. I mean,
I'm pretty sure he means NFL.
Two and gone feels like. I mean, you feel like you can get 3 out of them, but I don't think that it's. I don't think it's going to take him very long to get to the league. I think it's going to take 2 full seasons, and I think it'll probably be next year, assuming that Jarquez Hunter gets on the field soon for Auburn, which I don't think it'll be very far off. Riley M said Cobb's gone his junior year. I agree. So yeah, Riley M also expanded on his backstory about how he wanted you to be your own man to strike out his own with the college loop. That's great. We're learning all kinds of Daniel Locke lore right here, Vince.
But that's called quarterback
kind of lore.
But let's talk Auburn quarterbacks for a minute here. Your starter and team captain, Peyton Thorne. Your shiny bird that you got from Michigan State, had a great year in 2021, had a pretty average year in 2022. Where's your head at in terms of the state of this quarterback room? Who's going to get to play on Saturday? Are they all going to get to play on Saturday? Probably. And what do you want to see from each guy? What's a successful day for each guy?
Yeah, so obviously I think the big thing with Thorne, obviously we know his game. Last year wasn't his best year. Like you said, 2021, he had a great year. I think it was 37 touchdowns, 10 picks. Where last year he was much short of that with 11 picks. So obviously he didn't live up to the expectation that he did the year before last year, but that's where growth comes in, and coming into a program where he's sort of has that ability to dominate, has the pieces around him to do so, has an offensive line that's grown a lot since Hugh has come in and taken over. And he's a quarterback that I think can thrive in a system like Coach Freeze's. And he's he's solid. He's stable. And that I think is what a team like this may need. And like you said, like we might see different quarterbacks tomorrow, or not tomorrow. I just wish it was tomorrow. Gosh. We could see multiple quarterbacks Saturday. I don't think that's out of the question. I think we will see them because I don't think that UMass will stand much of a chance. Sure. So I think that we will see a bunch of heads catching snaps. But I think the big thing for Thorne is being named a captain. That tells us a lot for not having seen him play in an Auburn uniform. Being a guy that's come in and been here for 4 or 5 months, and he's already named one of the top 4 leaders on the team, and having that title to his name, I think is a powerful thing. It shows his leadership. It shows his connection with the guys on the team, with the coaching staff, just in the position that he's in. I think it holds a lot of weight, which hopefully not only does it back off the football field, but it's backed on the football field. And that's what we'll see come Saturday. And I hope guys like Robbie can get in and make their case for why they think they can still be the guy. And you never know. It could take one play and the whole situation can be changed, and it could be a Robbie year, or it could be a Holden year. Harris, I know that's your guy, boy. So anything can change. You never know what will happen. But if they're rocking with Thorne, I'm rocking with Thorne. They're rocking with whoever they're rocking with. I'm rocking with them. So I'm excited to see how it pans out.
Yeah, you just gave Dylan an end to get on his Robbie Ashford pedestal. So let's try to keep it objective here, Dylan.
Toss the oop. I'll let Dylan dunk it.
So as I've said before, this is going to be Robbie Ashford's team by probably week 3. I think that Robbie Ashford can run this offense better than anybody else, just because the RPO system is kind of what Hugh Freeze has seen as his bread and butter over the last few years. We saw what he did with Malik Willis. I trust what he can do with Robbie Ashford. And I mean, if that takes a couple of games for him to get there, I'm all for it. I'll stick behind Thorne. But believe me, I will be very braggadocious whenever Robbie Ashford steps in as the starting quarterback for a game.
Yeah.
And I think too, just with Robbie coming off the year that he had, playing with, I believe it was a torn rotator cuff. I know people that have a torn rotator cuff, they can't lift their arm above their shoulder. So I don't know how he even threw the ball. So to see that will be interesting. And how many times he'll throw, we don't know. He might take off running every single play, but I'm honestly okay with that. So we'll see. I think, like you said, Dylan, I think both guys are very, very, very solid options. I don't think you can go wrong with either one. I'm interested to see a healthy Robbie in the pocket with an offensive line that hopefully he trusts a little more than he did last year. But I'm also intrigued to see the newness of Peyton Thorne in a system like this, with the emotion that's going to be behind him in this game, with a whole new team that these fans, this audience is still getting used to. And they're probably still getting used to each other. So the game experience will help in that sense as well. But like I said, I'm excited to see it's a toss up, but we're just going to have to see who comes down with it.
Yeah, you talk about rotator cuffs. I mean, Tarr complains about his every time he shoots 3 basketball.
Yeah.
Okay. He shoots the basketball 3 times and he'll be like,
That's why I play golf now.
Yeah.
Harrison Stockton. That's what we know.
It's something like that. Riley M's got the real questions here. What I'm curious about is if Holden gets happy feet and Robbie can't go. I already love how hypothetical this is. This is beautiful. Worded. Great. Is it Hank the Tank, which we refer to him around here as the baby goat, Hank Brown, that goes in? I don't know if you see Hank Brown. I'm just going to be honest, fellas. I don't know that you get that deep.
Maybe New Mexico State for funsies.
Yeah, maybe just for kicks and giggles. I'm not entirely sure that you see Hank Brown maybe at all this season, maybe at all at Auburn. I'm really not sure how he fits, to be completely honest with you, with Walker White coming in next year. But, with Robbie Ashford battling an injury, I guess if there was a game that you could see Hank Brown, I guess it would be this week. So we'll see.
Or maybe whenever they're up by 40 in the Iron Bowl, maybe you'll see Hank Brown come in for a couple of snaps.
Right.
That is actually a perfect lead into a question I had for Vince. So obviously, Vince, what do you think kind of the advantages are to Auburn's situation where, yeah, it's a used car, he's new to you, but you have 2 seasons of film on him, versus what's going on in Tuscaloosa where they've got 3 guys, none of which have really gotten in games much. And the one player who has started the game is Jalen Milroe. And the less said about that abysmal game against the Aggies last fall, the better. So kind of if you had to pick one, which situation would you want?
I'm taking the experience.
Sense.
Yeah.
Okay,
I think I'd take experience in that situation. Just based off they're guys who have played in real games, not practice, not spring ball, but real football games in front of thousands and thousands of people. Michigan State isn't an easy place to play. You still play Ohio State. You still play at Purdue. You still play you play Michigan in the Big House. It's the biggest atmosphere in college football. He's built he can play this game, and we know that. He did that in 2021, and we saw it. He was dominant, and I hope that we see that here. I think he has the potential to do great things. Same with Robbie. If he gets that chance, like I said, it'll be a toss up, and whoever comes down with it, I think will play great in the spot that they are. But I would much rather have experience over 3 high caliber guys that haven't seen a real college game in front of thousands and thousands of people.
I wouldn't get so far to call Tyler Buchner a high caliber guy, but we should look out.
It's Alabama.
I've been hearing that Nick Saban has been smiling at press conferences, so we should all be like shivering our timbers right now for some reason.
All right, Vince, give me 2 things from you. 1, tell everybody where your score prediction for Auburn versus UMass on Saturday, and 2, let's hear your plug for where everyone can find you. Love you, support you. I heard rumor mill has it that there's a new Invincible coming out tomorrow. Babe, wake up! There's a new Invincible.
When you sent me that, I died laughing. That was so funny. Yes, score prediction. I'll go 44-14. I say give him 2 scores, a little mercy. And then where you can find me, I'm on Twitter at Vince Wolfram 15, on Instagram at Vince Wolfram. My media account is in my bio. And yes, tomorrow, Friday, September 1st, new episode of Invincible with the one and only Takeo Spikes. Releasing the full version on YouTube as well, in addition to the short segment of my show where I also talk a little bit about Nebraska volleyball last night.
Right on.
And Cam Newton hyping up the game today. So,
dude, that TikTok was so cold.
Well, Vince, Vince, thanks so much for joining us, man. We're going to send you down to the depths. We're running a little bit behind schedule. What else is new at the College Loop? But we really, really appreciate you coming on, man. It's always a pleasure to talk ball. Welcome back anytime.
Absolutely. Appreciate you, boys. Hey, War Eagle. Let's have fun tomorrow. Fun Saturday,
from everyone. And now we're going to welcome on some dude you've probably never heard of. But he knows ball a little bit. So let's bring Mr. Ike Jones up to the stage of the War Rapport. Ike, how you doing, man? Good to see you, brother.
I'm good, man. You know, just out here enjoying a lovely Thursday. College football already in full swing. A 5-day straight weekend of college football. Gotta love it.
Yeah, there's just not enough screens. There's just simply not enough screens this weekend.
You're not trying hard enough then.
That's right.
You are not trying hard enough.
That's right. That's right. Ike, we brought you on to talk about breakout players for the Tigers in 2023. We want to get your thoughts on a couple things first. First and foremost, talk to us about this Jarquez situation and where your head's at. I'm just going to open the floor there.
I mean, not entirely unexpected. I'm going to be honest with you. I had been saying for a couple of weeks that I thought that it would be prudent for them to hold him out at least a half of football, if not a full game. It didn't look like it was going to happen when the 2 deep was announced. It looked like, okay, well, he's cool. He's on there. But, you know, Coach Hugh Freeze also made it very clear. It's a bunch of rubbish. I don't care anything about this 2 deep chart. So not super surprised about it, but definitely also not worried because I don't think, I mean, we've got a great running back room. I don't think that Jarquez Hunter is going to be the difference in us winning this football game Saturday. So.
Chris B said, "I like Ike." By the way, yeah, so do we. We'll keep him around, or actually, rather, he'll keep us around. We hope. But beyond that, Ike, before we get back into the breakout players, any injuries really concerning you for this weekend in terms of limited reps that we kind of put out into the sphere?
I mean, concerning. I don't know that there. I just feel like we're deep enough at every position where there's not going to be anything necessarily that I'm concerned about. Nehemiah Pritchett is iffy right now as to whether or not he's going to play, but I'm super excited about the other guys that we have on the outside in Can Lee and Champ Anthony. So not really worried as to whether or not they will be sufficient to fill in. I'd be even more over the moon if JD Rim was healthy, right? Because I think he's going to be phenomenal on the outside at some point in time. So, I mean, there may be some depth issues when you get into that sort of thing on the outside, but not super worried there. The only other one that I even consider significant enough to, again, concern is a higher level than I just don't think that UMass is going to put up enough resistance for me to be concerned about anybody's injury. But the only other guy that I would consider to be iffy, like whether or not he's going to play, I don't think that Nick Mardner is going to see a lot of snaps, and don't know how they're going to manage Robbie Ashford's injury, right? Again, neither of those guys a situation where if Robbie Ashford doesn't play, there's no way we can beat UMass. Like, no, that's not a real thing. Nick Mardner doesn't play, we're doomed, right? Like, there's no concern there. But what I would like to see is them getting game reps with some of the guys that they will consider to be part of a normal rotation. So I guess that's the only legitimate concern is in regard to injury for me.
Sure.
Yeah, and then with the start of this new season, and a lot of new players have joined this team. Auburn now has, I believe, had the 3rd or 5th transfer portal class by 24/7. I think it was 3rd, or at least it was at some point 3rd. And there's going to be a lot of new names. I have on my list that I made. I only have one transfer on here, but I'm going to let it start off with you. Choose a breakout player for the 2023 season.
I mean, listen, Damari Alston's going to have an amazing season. Let's be clear. He is a guy that a lot of Auburn fans have not had an opportunity to see, but in the limited opportunities that I think that he's had, he's shown flashes of amazing. And I think that he's got all of the elements necessary to be a really solid football player. In his own words, if you listen to the fireside that we had, he's gotten faster while getting bigger. So that's like crazy. And he has just amazing contact balance. So you're going to need a guy who is able to take punishment and still stay on his feet in order to be special in the football as a running back. And I think that he has the elements to be able to do that. You can catch the ball out of the backfield, got good speed. So, and he's got good vision as well. So I think he is poised for a breakout year this year. And that I would think the exact same way about that if I knew Jarquez Hunter was going to play every single game.
I like that. I stuck running back with mine as well. I got Brian Battie.
Mm-hmm.
Also for the offensive side of the game and the return side of the game,
Yeah.
I think that he's going to give Auburn their.
I just wonder who's going to be the first foolish person to give him a returnable kick this season.
UMass.
You think UMass is going to do it? They're just going to be like, "Oh, we'll see. We'll see what he can do."
It would be the most Auburn thing in the world to get the stadiums rocking on the first play of the game.
Yeah.
Take the first kickoff back.
That would be nuts, by the way. If Auburn receives first and the first kickoff goes to Brian Battie and he houses it, I would just
they rush the field.
Yeah, but UMass would just leave. They're just like, all right, well, this was a fun trip. Can we still get the check?
Yeah, right. Just go ahead and give us our buyout money and we'll protect our health.
I would definitely take that check as well. I'd go ahead and forfeit.
Can we go ahead and cash it day of cutting? Is that an option?
Can y'all just deposit it directly into the account? No checks, just wire transfer. And
We take Venmo. UMass kicker cannot kick a ball into the end zone. Expect a special teams masterclass. That's from Jonathan Conley, our group of 5 analyst over here. So there, you heard it from Jonathan Conley. He said it himself that Auburn's returning the opening kickoff. I'm twisting his words.
But Daniel, who you got? A breakout player for 2023?
Ooh, so this is one that I've been thinking about this since February, man. It's very, very intriguing of a question, but you guys know I predicted this before both of you. I've got the receipts. I've got it screen recorded on my iPhone. Nick Mardner is that man, and he will continue to be that way. He might not play a ton this weekend, but Cal Golden Bears week 2, watch out because Nick Mardner's coming.
Hey, I had him on my honorable mentions.
Yeah.
I have my top 5, but I have.
That's not the same as having a number 1.
Hey, Tarr. Okay, fair point. Fair point.
That's a statement of fact.
Tarr, who you got, man?
Man, I really like what Elijah McAllister brings to the table in terms of impact transfer. You need some experience there. I mean, hell, you need some experience there. And I think that maybe not as much as like flashy play kind of guy, as much as great leadership presence on that defense. And I mean, I think that his film speaks for itself. He played well at Vanderbilt. That really does say something, by the way. So I'm going to keep my eye on Elijah McAllister throughout the year. And also Ike really hit the nail on the head. Damari Alston's going to be freaking awesome.
Yeah.
That dude is and we've known he's special for a long time. This running back room has dudes on dudes on dudes. You could probably list several of them in your breakout top 5 and still make sense. So I'm just staying 50 feet clear of the quarterback conversation. That's just not something I'm getting into.
Well, another guy I have listed on mine is Jalen Simpson. I think with Auburn's loaded defensive back room, you're going to be trying to test him as much as you can, and I think Simp's going to take full advantage of that. And you're going to hear a lot more about him later on in the show when Jacob Hillman is here, because I have some takes about Mr. J. Simp himself. But honorable mention, Ike, I think you're going to love this one. I have Reed Hughes listed as one of my breakout players.
All right.
Beat Quattlebaum out for the starting long snapper position. So I'm expecting a big season from running with Reed himself.
Okay.
Dylan's such a goofball. I mean, look at this dude. He's wearing 2 hats right now.
Hey.
But yeah, it is what it is. Ike, thanks for joining us today. Sorry for stealing just 10 minutes of your time. We're trying to keep things rolling a little bit here.
Well, can I give you guys a second player really quick before I get out of here?
Not allowed. Sorry.
Another Jalen McLeod. He's going to have a breakout season.
Ooh,
so
I like it. I like it.
I like Ike asking if he can give us another answer, as if we were A, going to tell him no, and B, he's not our boss. That's
McLeod causes more disruption against the Jimbo Fisher-led team and gets him fired in September 24th.
Dylan's going to have 15 different scenarios on how Auburn's going to beat Texas A&M.
I know that I'm already on some Texas A&M message board. I'm in their locker rooms. I already know. I've been
arguably on a hit list.
Probably. They have the money.
Ike, tell everybody where they can find you. Love you, support you, my friend.
Yeah, we are the War Rapport everywhere, so you can definitely find the channel in all of those places. If you want to follow me on Twitter, it is TWR Ike Jones. I'm there tweeting occasionally whenever I feel like it.
That's right. Ike, thanks for joining us, my friend. Ike Jones, everybody. And we're going to keep it with the War Rapport theme here, and then we're going to talk a little bit of wide receivers. Let's bring Mike G up here. Mike G's hanging out backstage. I'm not sure if he's got his camera on or not, but he's around. So we'll go ahead and bring Mike G up here for a second. He's in the stream. Mike, you with us? Maybe not. We can give him a moment. Now's actually a great time for me to remind everybody who's on the stream that if you're feeling a little bit loopy, we can help you out with that.
Yes.
And if you don't have one already, football season starts on Saturday. Auburn football starts on Saturday. Go pick up a College Loop War Rapport Podcast Network co-branded Feelin' Loopy t-shirts. We got 5 colorways. It is the most comfortable shirt you will ever own, probably in your lifetime. And sources are saying, sources, trust me, bro, that this is one of the best $25 you'll ever spend. They're available only at thewarrapport.com, but you can find them in the link in the description to this live stream. It'll also be up and published on YouTube immediately following the conclusion of the live stream. We'll also have it on our streaming platforms, whether that be on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon
Google Podcasts and Amazon Music.
Yeah, wherever else you might find things. So
I've also heard 10 out of 10 cardiologists agree that once you put on the Feeling Loopy shirt, your heart actually starts feeling better.
Well, and then in addition to that, 10 out of 10 podiatrists say that if you wear it while running a marathon, you'll be Usain Bolt.
That's true. AJ Rivera says it right here. Y'all are missing out. For real, super comfy. So 1 out of 1, AJ Rivera says that this is the most comfortable shirt you'll ever own. So Riley M said, yo, this is wild, LOL. I'm not sure what the context is, but yeah, Mike G's around here somewhere. He's backstage. He may pop in a little bit later. I promise we're not stalling too hard. Let's open up the wide receiver conversation real quick, gentlemen, while we wait on Mike. I'm certain that he will turn up and surface here.
If we say Jay Fair enough, he'll appear.
Yeah, everyone in the comments, just drop Jay Fair in the comments. Just drop it in the comments.
Just spam Jay Fair and Mike G will appear.
And he will respawn. So that'll happen. So let's see it. AJ Rivera says MySpace page question mark. You guys get us to 1,000 subs. We're gonna teach Colin how to run on MySpace. But let's open up the wide receiver room conversation, fellas. We know Nick Marner's battling a little bit of injuries. There is a very interesting opportunity for a lot of guys to see the field this weekend. So Daniel, I'm going to open it up to you first. I know you were talking about Nick Marner a little bit. Who you expect to see get the ball and actually get some meaningful PT, and what you want to see for it to be a successful weekend or Saturday from the receiver room. And James Burnett said Jay Fair's that dude. So here comes Mike G's. Got to be coming. Riley M also mentioned, I was referring to pulling up these. There he is. Oh, well, there he was.
You only said it once. You got to say it 3 times to get him to appear.
That's right. If we say Jay Fair one more time, will you come back up on the stream? Mike G.
Did you say it?
There he is. We knew if we did it enough, it would happen.
What's going on, fellas? Doing great, guys. Thanks for having me on tonight. College football is back. Right now, Utah is playing Florida enthusiastically. Florida's losing, but hopefully they represent the SEC. What's going on with Dylan up here? Dylan's got a lot of things going on these days.
Mike, didn't you tweet yesterday that he's smoking? Like, there's something not right with this
guy. I've been a Utah supporter for the past few years now.
Oh, I see.
They're my Pac-12 team.
He's a little bit of a Cam Rising truther in his defense.
He's on the rise. Cam Rising's on the rise.
Listen, we all have sins that we need to ask the Lord for forgiveness for. I'm here for you, bro. I forgive you in advance.
Well, apparently I need to repent for returning my shopping carts, and I'm not going to forget about that. So.
No, definitely not.
That's awesome. Mike, we brought you on Talk Receivers. Give us a
Absolutely.
rundown of the guys that you're expecting to see get meaningful snaps. Should be a lot of them on Saturday.
Well, the obvious name that you guys know that I'm going to mention here is Jay Fair. He killed it this all season, man. He got on to Hugh Freeze's like accountability squad, right? Like they took team leaders from every position and they said, these are the guys that we want to hold everybody else accountable. As a true sophomore, I think that's an amazing accomplishment to be looked at that way. Damari Olsen as well was on that list and some other notable names, but we're talking wide receivers. This was a injury-riddled camp and summer for Auburn at the wide receiver position. So as a result, some guys got some time that we may not have expected. Now, who was that? Amari Kelly got a lot of burn. Right, Nick Martyr got a chance to step up. I know a lot of people are excited about seeing him. He's a tall guy, a rangy guy that should be able to go out and go up and catch some balls. Right. Hugh Freeze talked about range when he talked about receiving in this league and having receivers that had range. Martyr is potentially one of those guys. Right. So you've got Javaris Johnson and you've got Jay Fair there, who both will play and see significant time. I expect Javaris Johnson is an experienced guy. Listen, man, if he knows his assignments and he knows what he's supposed to be doing and he does it to max effort, I expect him to be out there quite a bit. But after that, you've got Camden Brown, who, again, was a little hampered by injuries coming into camp. And I'll be interested to see what they do with him. Coy Moore was also hampered by injuries. These are all guys that were potential starters. So they've had to look 2-3 deep on the depth chart to make sure that they have guys ready just in case these guys can't go or are not going to be ready coming back from nagging injuries this offseason. Caleb Burton has struggled to come along. I don't expect to see a ton of him. But Shane Hooks. Shane Hooks has been the talk of the offseason outside of Jay Fair, of course, because Jay Fair is electric, according to Auburn football themselves. And if listen, guys, if Jay Fair is electric, Shane Hooks is dynamic. And what do I mean by that? Well, you're talking about a guy who can go up and make every kind of catch for you. This might be very important for Payton Thorne in his first start. The guy that can catch anything that's thrown within 3 yards of him. Nuts. Crazy to think. We talked about this over and over again. Auburn has had the last 1,000-yard receivers was Ronnie Daniels, 1999. Darvin Adams came close. It has not been an area where Auburn has excelled. Can Shane Hooks come in and give Payton Thorne or whoever's playing quarterback behind him a big target to throw the ball at that you can depend on third down? When you need a first down and it's 3rd and 9, who are you throwing the ball up to? Right now, it looks like it could be Shane Hooks to just win his matchup. So it's going to be exciting to see these matchups against inferior competition. And yes, I'm saying it. UMass is inferior in every single way. A lot of people left last week 0, thinking, oh, they're better than we thought they were. No, they're not. New Mexico State was just not as good as you thought they were. They're not a good team, right? Pumachan can give you a little trouble for a little bit, but ultimately I expect Auburn to physically dominate this game, and as a result, I expect the receivers to get out and make some plays. So I'm excited. I'm excited to watch this receiving core, man. Like Hugh Freeze produces 800-yard receivers every year, like it's easy. And those numbers are fairly prolific at Auburn, guys. An 800-yard receiver? Come on, man. That doesn't happen very often. These guys are barely breaking 500 yards most years.
Mike, you mentioned that the last time Auburn had a 1,000-yard receiver was 1999?
Yeah, Ronnie Daniels.
Fun fact, nobody on the College Loop was alive. So just for some context there.
Yikes, man. I started college at Auburn 2 years later.
That wasn't designed to be a sneak diss at you, Mike, but yeah, all right.
It hurt, fellas. My birthday was a couple weeks ago, so it hurt.
Yeah, you told me I return my shopping carts. I'm gonna do that kind of stuff. Just so you know.
It's been a long time, right? And I think that this is going to be top of the list for Hugh Freeze, right? Is bringing the forward pass back to Auburn football. It's got to be a thing in today's football if you want to win. What they did in 2010 with Cam and, all the rushing yards. That was totally anomalous, guys.
Sure.
That's not how people are winning. Everything about that team and that championship was anomalous. And so if you want to compete at a high level, you need dynamic quarterback play and you need dynamic receivers to go out and catch passes for those quarterbacks. So just really interested to see what Hugh Freeze can do with these guys. And we'll see. We'll see if the receiving core plays better than what we're used to.
And Mike, looks like you got a nice little comment for your boy. Is Jay Fair the next Ryan Davis?
No, he's the next Jay Fair. He's better. He's better.
Jay Fair. They also elaborated. Jay Fair and Ryan Davis, both 5'10", 186. That would be nice if they played the same.
Yeah, I think he's better.
Ryan Davis didn't get a lot of help from the scheme, I will say.
Yeah, I'm telling. Well, not Jay Fair last year, but we're hoping that that's the thing that Hugh Freeze fixes. Right? It's like you could be a dynamic talent in a terrible offense, but there weren't Coy Moore came on our show and said he felt like there were 2,000-yard receivers in the and a lot of people laughed at that, and then the season went the way it went, right? But ultimately, they never got 1,000 yards worth of opportunities last year in that system. Just weren't there. There's no way to have a 1,000-yard receiver. Hugh Freeze has said over and over again, I'm going to do what I do. I'm not going to change who I am. He feels like he's been successful. They're going to pass the ball. They're going to run the ball, but they're going to pass the ball. And he was pretty adamant that teams aren't just going to let you line up and do one thing constantly. It's not going to let you do that. I get it. I like that this coach has that mentality.
I respect that. Can we get a score prediction for Saturday from you real quick?
Yes, 49-21.
49-21.
Oh.
Yeah. I think they get some garbage time touchdowns against second and third team defense. So I'm not so sure how Auburn is going to do on that D-line late in the game. So fluky touchdown, right? Like, it's not uncommon to see a weak opponent come out and score on the first drive.
I get that.
Right. Yeah, first game of the season.
We actually got two more comments referring to the wide receiver core.
Okay.
We got Chris B talking about Shane Hooks. I'm thinking Hooks becomes the guy for Thorne this year, replacing Keon Coleman from Michigan State. Same build, same catch radius, a la Duke, Williams, etc.
Yeah, man. As long as he works, if he works and he continues to try to develop his craft and the effort is there, I think he can be that guy. Definitely. So we'll see.
You also got Riley M saying Auburn gets Shane Hooks drafted. He's calling it.
I mean, that would be great, right? Just to have somebody out of the receiver core drafted means that you threw the ball enough for somebody to get drafted, and you threw it well enough for somebody to get drafted. That would be amazing. So, again, Hugh Freeze's charge here. Bring the forward pass back, man. I think he's going to do it.
Mike, tell everybody where they can find you. Love you, support you.
Well, you guys know, first of all, love and support these guys if you're watching at the College Loop. Part of the Auburn podcast, the War Rapport Network. But you guys can find us on every social media platform at the War Rapport. We are dropping a fireside tomorrow.
Let's go.
Right. So we've got defensive backs. Donovan Kaufman, Zion Puckett, and Nehemiah Pritchett joined us on the fireside. TV. Yeah, right. So this is the 5th edition of the fireside. We're super excited about doing these, especially as the season is approaching. So don't miss that tomorrow, 9 a.m. Eastern.
Right on. Mike, thanks so much for joining us. We will touch base with you soon. Hope maybe see you this weekend.
All right, fellas. We'll see you.
You owe me a drink,
everybody. All right. So we're running a little behind here on the College Loop. What else is new? Let's keep moving forward. Let's bring Dustin on from the Up Tempo podcast. Let's see if he Dustin, what's up, my man?
What's up, fellas? How we doing tonight?
Hey, man. College football's back, baby. I'm
fine.
never better.
I know. What you got going on there, Dylan? You a big Florida hater?
I'm a big Utah supporter. My girlfriend's a big Florida hater, so
okay.
That also translates into his girlfriend's a Georgia fan.
She's transitioning over to Auburn. She's going to her first Auburn football game on Saturday.
You got some problems in that home, buddy. I'll pray for you. I'll pray for you, man.
I just aired Dylan out for no reason, huh?
Hey, she's going to be supporting Auburn on Saturday. She'll be.
How's the Gus Bus doing tonight? We just got done recording, so I haven't watched any football yet. I know the Gus Bus is on. Is it
I have not
the wheels on
that
thing? Okay.
Is UCF playing tonight?
I believe so. Yeah.
All I care about is Utah right now.
Yeah.
Not another
He cares enough to look like a goober with 2 hats on right now, but whatever. Dustin, before we're talking the front 7.
31-yard field goal. That was funny.
We brought you on to talk about this front seven, which I'll be honest with you, should scare the ever-living crap out of a lot of Auburn fans.
Yeah.
And kind of get your outlook on what is a successful day for them on Saturday. How do they continue to get better, and what faces are you putting in what places as we come down this the stretch this season?
Yeah, dude. For me, the concern I think everybody knows by now is the depth, right? It's just the depth there. It's not necessarily a Jason Jones and a Justin Rogers. Like, you're good there. It's what happens if those guys get hurt. That's when the questions comes in. So for UMass, no problem. Feel good to go. My question is, way down the season when you go to Arkansas and you have to stop a Rocket Sanders, what do you look like up front then? We know that these transfers, Kite coming in and Lawrence Johnson coming in, haven't ever seen him play a snap. And I feel the same way about the offensive line. As optimistic as I am about it, only Jeremiah Wright and Cam Stutz have taken a snap for Auburn, right? On that starting offensive line. Same way on that D line. It's just a lot of new faces really across the whole team. So I think that I've listened to you guys, we all watch Mike and Ike and the boys over there at War Rapport and at Up Tempo as well. We've tried to do a good job of tampering expectations and being realistic about what the situation is. And yeah, I feel like day one right now, I like it, but where will it be in week 6? That's where my concern is especially at those nose tackle positions, those guys that we need to really stuff the run on first and second down. That's where I have concerns. Keldrick Falk has to be ready. Anybody that's listened to our podcast knows I'm predicting a big year. Been high on Keldrick Falk for a long time. That kid's got to be ready to go. A guy that hasn't been talked about because he missed the spring, but a big time recruit, Darren Reed, however you say it. We need him by Ole Miss, Mississippi State time to have figured it out and to step up. So it's just, there's a lot of question marks there, man. I think that for me, kind of looking at defense as a whole, we all feel like we're all pretty confident in the secondary, right? The D line, those boys got to just get enough pressure. Just be top half in the SEC, and the secondary can do what it's got to do. I'm very interested to see what Ron Roberts' scheme can make up for and maybe lack of talent. I like Elijah McAllister. I like Jalen McLeod. But, guys, their numbers are what they are. They don't jump off the page. Are they going to come to Auburn? Is Jalen McLeod's going to have 6.5 sacks in the Sun Belt and then come to Auburn and all of a sudden have 10 or 11 and make a huge jump? He might. But that's, until we see it kind of thing. And I would just take his 6.5 again, because Derek Hall, I believe, led the team last year with 6.5 off the top of my head, and he had to play every single snap. For me, it's just about depth. You're going to have to find ways with a guy like Cam Riley, with a guy like Keontae Scott, creative ways to use guys in different positions to create pressure, Harrison, because as that season wears on in this tough SEC schedule, I think when the body count starts to add up, we're going to be in some trouble. And one thing that we didn't do last year, you can go back to that Ole Miss game when that ball was just sitting there for the taking. We did not create turnovers on defense. If we can create some turnovers on defense, we can negate some of these issues that I think we have.
I think you nailed it there, Dustin. Gentlemen, I'm going to open up the floor to you guys.
And you bring up Keldrick Falk and just what he could do. And he wasn't listed as a starter on Saturday. He's behind Messiah and Nasili Kite. And you got the fact that this defensive line and this linebacker room has been talked about nonstop this offseason, just about the fact that they have struggled in the fall camps to stop the run. And that could either be a testament to how good Auburn's run game is going to be or a testament to how bad Auburn's run defense is going to be. And when you talk about what's going to look like by week 6, I'm worried about what's going to look like by week 4, week 5, and week 6. Because week 4, A&M isn't going to pass the ball. I don't think Bob Petrino has it. I don't think they have the scheme with Bob Petrino and Jimbo Fisher to really pass the ball, even though they have a loaded wide receiver core. And that's me saying something positive about Texas A&M. That's not something I like to do very often. But they will be running the ball. Georgia is going to be running the ball with whatever depth they have left at the running back room. And then, of course, LSU, you have Jaden Daniels, who is the definition of a dual-threat quarterback. Should Auburn fans be a little worried about that inability to stop the run?
100%, man. 100%. And, the thing, too, is It's true what they say about you kind of expect the defense to be a little bit ahead of the offenses in scrimmages. I've only played football on the high school level, right? So I'm not claiming to be some kind of big star, or I'm not the guy that says, oh, I tore my ACL or I would have made it. Definitely not.
But you would have made it.
No, sir. Nope. I'm right where I belong. But man, but that is a thing, man. That is the thing. It usually, especially when the defense knows what the offense is doing. So when you see what you see at A-Day and then you hear what you're hearing out of practice, yes. Now I think I've said it. I think we have the best running back room since 2003 Auburn, which was a Brandon Jacobs Super Bowl champion for the New York Giants, Ronnie Brown, who had a great long NFL career, top 5 pick. Cadillac, everybody knows what Caddy was coming out of college. The injuries were just, they derailed his career. But there you go. I see you, baby. But NFL Rookie of the Year for my Tampa Bay Bucks, Caddy was that dude. And then Trey Smith stepped up in the 2002 Iron Bowl as a 4th string and ran for $125, I believe, and held it down for us in a win in Bryant-Denny. So that was a stat running back room. I think we have the exact same kind of situation going now, coached by a guy that was in that room. That's pretty cool. So I think we're stacked there. I think we have a lot of guys. You got a veteran guy like Avery Jones anchoring that offensive line. So, yeah, you look at it and you say, okay, I think we're going to be pretty good at running the ball. But the pure dominance is kind of where I'm like, and we're not there. These are only practice reports, but from all the information that we have, man, yeah, I'm concerned because I was at the Penn State game last year, and I've seen Auburn lose before, but I've never seen that. I've never seen Auburn just not even be competitive at the line of scrimmage and just being completely moved, like from you sitting about 40 rows up, and all you're really seeing is just lines moving. Forget, you don't got to watch receivers, quarterbacks, nothing else. It's just those guys in Penn State uniforms moving our guys. And it didn't get much better throughout the season. And then again to death. And Echo Leota gets hurt. And then it's just the Colby and Derek Call have to hold it down the whole time. So, yeah, man, you should be concerned about the run. There are going to have to be some guys in the Eugene Asante or Larry Nixon. There's going to be some guys that really step up. Some guys that you haven't heard a lot about. Robert Woodyard was a very high prospect coming out of high school. Some of those guys got to hit. Some names that we haven't heard have to step up and make some noise. I'm very concerned about it. Creating turnovers is kind of why I said I think we need to create some turnovers to get that ball back. But you watched the Ole Miss game last year. You know what it is. And, yeah, man, until I see otherwise, I am very concerned about it, Dylan.
Yeah, and you bring up the linebacker room. I mean, we have been talking nonstop about I have been vocal about my displeasure in the linebacker room. Outside of Austin Keys, I don't think Cam Riley is is who I would want next to Keys. I think you brought up Larry Nixon. I think his ability to stuff the run like he did in North Texas, I think that should be where Hugh Freeze should be looking for these first at least 5 weeks of the season. He's looking for someone who can stuff the gaps, who can find a place to be to get these tackles for a loss. I mean, I went on the War Rapport not too long ago and predicted my stat leaders, and Larry Nixon was my dude for tackles for a loss because I think just his ability to blitz the gap and get where he needs to be, what he did at North Texas, that's what Auburn needs to do at the linebacker core. And Cam Riley, if he developed, I'd love to see him play well.
Yeah, for sure. All the talent in the world's there. It's really we've done so much talking and so much pontificating all summer, right? We're about to find out Saturday what these schemes are. That's what I'm most excited for. Where are they going to put a guy like Keontae Scott? I'm ready to see where all these guys kind of line up and how they work, man. I'm fired up. I can't wait to be in that stadium.
It's going to be rocking. Daniel, do you want to grab something real quick?
Sure. So, Dustin, who do you think will lead the defense in sacks and or QB pressures?
I'm going to stay on the hype train, man. I've been doing it all summer, and I'm going to continue with it. I'm going Keldrick Falk, and I want to be clear on the way I project this to go. Keldrick might get some sack. He might get a sack Saturday. Boy, if he does, I promise you'll hear me. You'll hear me. You'll hear me over all 88,000 if he does. But I think that stretch there versus A&M, LSU, and Georgia, I think that is going to be a tough stretch for Keldrick. I think there might be some games there where it's like, oh, okay. But I think as that season goes on, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, those kind of games, Arkansas, Vandy. I think Keldrick really starts to figure it out. I think that him and his brother are both NFL talents. I think they both will play in the NFL, and I think that Keldrick will play 3 years at Auburn, and that he will be a top 40 draft pick overall, and he's going to be one of the best defensive linemen to come through Auburn in a very long time. So I'm gonna predict Keldrick Faulk to have. I'm going to go with 9 sacks this year, and I think they're going to be backloaded. I think he really starts to figure it out in the second half of the season.
Yeah, Keldrick Faulk's playing on Sundays. That's for sure. Before we let you go, I do want to bring this one up here real quick. James Barnett mentioned he also agrees that Auburn has the top 3 running back room. I think they have a top 1 running back room in the country, just to be honest with you.
Hey, get him, Tarr. Get him. I hear you, baby.
I'll say it right now. Auburn's got the best running back room in the country. Colin, click that. That's in an hour, 58. You can quote me on that. I'll see it on Instagram tomorrow. It says Auburn will average at least 250 yards per game, and just in his opinion, I think that's a big number. I do think it's achievable though. I think a lot of people in your camp. Dylan, you are just dying for me to let you speak.
Well, we got a question in reference to the front 7, talking about Mr. Jalen McLeod. Can we create pressure without McLeod? How would you rate Steven Sings, the 5th pass rush scale from a 1 to 10? That's from John Crane.
Yeah, what's up, John? I see him comment on our show sometimes. What's up, buddy? We appreciate you. I think that seeing Jalen where he was on the depth chart, I think that's all because of injury, right? Well, Hugh mentioned injuries, and he said that some guys not be able to go. I think my understanding of it is Jalen's questionable and might not be able to go. Otherwise, I don't think you would see him 3rd at the edge position or jack position, on depth chart there. So I think that he is banged up and that he might not be able to go. I think Jalen McLeod is, and I don't want to be, if I'm sleeping on Steven Sings, then you can just accuse me of sleeping on Steven Sings. But I think that Jalen McLeod is the best of that bunch. I just think that he's hurt. And Ron Roberts is going to have to get creative, man. I do think he has some guys like with Keldrick, like Marcus Harris, and I think he has some guys that can do some different things and create some different looks. So I know that we're not going to get the full kitchen sink, as they say, come Saturday, but really fired up to see kind of what they have going on there for sure.
All right, Dustin, all I need from you now is an Auburn UMass score prediction, and then we're going to bring on a guy who you may have heard of before, Blake Lane.
Yeah, just talk to him for a little bit. Yeah, man. I'm going 45-20 Auburn. Okay. And we had Jake Crane on the other day, and Jake said Auburn fans don't freak out if we only win by 17 or 20. I'm not going to go that much with it. Okay, I think we go by a little bit more. Maybe a situation like Mike said where it's garbage time. Or maybe a situation where UMass gets some early. Look, we're still all new to this portal era and how this works.
Sure.
We might come out and just blow them out, and we're just better, and and be up 35-0 at halftime and just bludgeon them to death. That could be the case. Personally, I think Hugh's going to try to take some shots early. I want to see some intermediate routes completed, some deep shots. And I don't think we're going to connect on all of them because Jair Shorter, Shane Hooks, Rivaldo Fairweather, Peyton Thorne, all new faces other than Stutz and Jeremiah Wright on that O-line, all new faces. So I think it's a good possibility that maybe we struggle to get out the gate, or maybe we have the big plays and we just don't make them. Some missed opportunities early and then we pull away. Or maybe it's a situation like Mike G said where they get garbage time on the 2s and the 3s, and when you're up big, and it is what it is. But I'm going to go 45-20, and I don't think that anybody should freak out about that after having the kind of years that we've had. And I think that the energy is going to be electric, and I cannot wait to see Hugh bust through those double tiger-eyed doors, man, with that team. I'm fired up, brother.
All right. 2 things. I promise 2 more things. One, I'm going to get you to tell everybody where they can find you, love you, and support you. And 2, I need you to give me on a scale from 1 to 10, how much ass is the War Rapport podcast network going to kick this football season?
Oh, man. Well, I love the second one. The second one's so good, I've already forgot the first one. What's the first one, man? Listen, up tempo. We're right at 1,000 subs, and you guys, I see you guys grinding. Y'all know what it is. Y'all know how hard it is to get there, right?
Yeah, it is.
It is tough, man. And I tell our guys all the time, just our last 2 subs have both one clear 2,000 and our live events, excuse me. They both have been around 2,000 views. We got people that are watching every week that are just not hitting that sub button. All you got to do is hit that sub button. It don't cost a dime. So hit that sub button, man. Get us to 1,000. We are so close. We're under 100. We're so close. And that opens up all kind of doors for us. So please do that. We're live every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Normally on Fridays, we go at 10 a.m. But like Mike just said, they're dropping the fireside. So our UMass preview will be dropping live on the YouTube channel and up on Apple, Spotify, all those places where you get your podcasts at 11 a.m. tomorrow. And then we will be doing our reviews of the game on Sundays at 3 p.m. Central. All those are Central time. So get over there, man. Get at us. If you haven't subscribed to it, do it. We just like to have a good time, man, and build this community. And thank you guys for having us on, man. It's been a blast.
Dude, it's been a ton of fun. Dustin Smith, everyone, of the Uptempo podcast. And if you didn't hear his first spiel, you'll hear it again in a second. So let's bring Mr. Blake Lane on of the Uptempo podcast now. It would not be a College Loop stream, Blake, if we were not running behind. So thank you for being flexible. Welcome to the show, brother. How you doing?
Fellas, I'm doing great. I got chills ready for Saturday. Auburn Tiger football is back, baby, and I'm excited.
We're so back. Like we are so back, and we're ready to talk to you for a minute here and just talk about. We made Dustin go through the grit and grind of the front seven. You get the fun part. You get to talk about these DBs. That I'm going to try to shut up and let Daniel and Dylan kind of run this one here. But this is the part where I'm going to have the hardest time shutting up because I'm so high on this group. There's a lot of dudes that play in Auburn, Alabama, and the DB room that are going to play on Sundays. So I'm going to open it up to your initial thoughts. Dylan, Daniel, I will mute my mic, and I will let you guys get after it.
Fellas, the thing about this DB room is the athleticism. And just how talented it is. All right. And Auburn has guys in this room, 6'1", 6'2", 180, 175. The length of this room is special. Jalen moving from that corner spot last year, going up there and keeping the top on the defense. I think you're going to see a phenomenal year from him. And just Nehemiah, man, him coming back, I think that was huge for this room. And just even the young guys that have come in. You hear about the Hoods and the Loves and Sylvester Smith and things like that, man. This group is extremely, extremely talented, and I'm gonna sit here and say it. I just don't know how UMass moves the football against them Saturday. Like I watched them against New Mexico State, fellas, and they just didn't push the ball down the field. And if you couldn't do it against New Mexico State, have fun against Auburn.
I am very interested to see how this defensive back room plays all together because now you got some new acquisitions that everyone's looking forward to seeing. I mean, I'm going to say his name, and Tarr's going to be it's going to be very hard for Tarr not to speak about this one player because if Mike G loves Jay Fair, Tarr is the same way with Kyan Lee, who one of the biggest recruits of the 2023 class. And another corner I'm looking forward to seeing is Champ Anthony, the Tyler Junior College guy as well, because I just love his game. I love those, like, I think who they said it was our last guest. Was it Caleb Jones said it best? A pest on defense is how he said it. It's just an annoying little corner who just will not let you get free, will not let you catch a break. But it's just awesome watching Auburn's defensive back room because it just goes so far beyond the two guys who are going to be starting. That's the best part about it. But just who you see as being a breakout in this defensive back room, if you could not pick DJ James or Nehemiah Pritchett.
Man, Kayan Lee, man, I got to go with him. I think this kid is talented. I think he's going to see the field this year in big roles. Like he's gonna make plays for this defense. It's inevitable to keep him off the field, right? And look, Nehemiah, you got to have a year, man. You got to have a year because last year he took a step back, and he's got to bring it this year. And if he struggles, fellas, Kayan Lee's right there. And so I think he's a ball hawk. He's physical, in and out of breaks, man. The hips, everything checks the boxes with him. And I just think he's going to play in the league. He's going to play in the league. I'm calling it now. He's that talented.
Two things, Daniel, before you go. I'm not asking a question. I'm just giving a comment. I'm sorry. One, Blake, turn me the hell up. Absolutely. You just nailed it. Two, Nehemiah Pritchett's going to have a year. Nehemiah Pritchett's going in the first round of the NFL draft this year. I'm saying it right here, right now. You heard me. Nehemiah Pritchett got better at the end of last year.
Yes.
It's amazing what happens when you fire a dumpster fire of a head coach. And somehow your players play more freely. It's a fact, guys. You can laugh all you want. It's true. I'm a Nehemiah Pritchett truther until the day that he does not get drafted in the NFL draft, and then I will claim that he got scammed. So expecting a big year from him, but Blake I got goosebumps. I'm turned up about Kai Lee right now. Daniel, floor is yours.
So, Blake, I'm a very big safeties guy. I played safety myself for a lot of years until my parents started letting me eat at Taco Bell, and that ruined those days quick. Then I found myself at edge rusher in one off season. But Keontae Scott narrowly beats out Donovan Kaufman for the star position. Defensive backs coach Zach Etheridge said it was very, very close all the way. So just kind of what are your thoughts there? And then on the other side, free safety, Jalen Simpson beating out Griffin Speaks. Not really a surprise there. I think Griffin Speaks will be very good in time. But like I said, in time, Jalen Simpson's there now. So just what are your thoughts on those two spots?
I'll start with Keontae, man. I think you can move Donovan around, and you can move Keontae around. All right, Keontae is that hybrid guy. The only thing about Donovan, man, is I don't think he's as good as Keontae in coverage. So I think you give Keontae the up there, but Donovan, look, if Zion struggles back there. Zion Puckett, if he struggles, you can slide Donovan back there. He can play there. So there's a lot of moving pieces in this DB room. I think you can plug guys in. You've got young talent in back there. So I think this DB room is going to be special, man. Look, Keontae Scott, they're super high on him. I know Mike G is in love with him. Ike's in love with him. And I think he's going to have a big year, fellas. And look, Ron Roberts is going to bring pressure, all right, out of the secondary. It's not going to be what you've seen the last 2 years. He's going to bring pressure. What is it, Dylan?
You said my trigger word. Ron Roberts' defensive scheme is very cornerback friendly.
Yes, he is going to bring pressure, and he's going to light these dudes up, man. Look, we've been used to the last 2 years, and I think all of Auburn fans need to just look. Take a breath, take a deep breath, and just remove the last 2 years because you're going to see something completely different. All right. And it's going to be refreshing. And you're going to see guys that can make plays back there on that back end. And as far as Jalen Simpson, I think he leads this defense in picks, fellas. I think this guy is special. I do. I think he's going to have a breakout year. And I think him moving back there to safety was the biggest thing for this back end. And just how he can roam back there, keep the top on the defense. I think he's set up for a big year.
I don't think you're incorrect at all. If I had to ask you, you said leading interceptions. If you had to pick a guy that's not Jalen Simpson, pass breakups, interceptions combined, who are you looking at to really make the most noise on that back end?
Look, man, I know everybody says DJ, right? But I just don't know how much the ball is going to get thrown his way.
I wouldn't throw to him. I wouldn't throw at him.
I can't sit here and say DJ because I'm not throwing it to him. I'm not. So let me go Nehemiah, man. Let me go Nehemiah. Like you said, Harrison, I think he's going to have a bounce back year. I think he is going to play his tail off. And I'm a big Nehemiah fan, man. I'm from Mobile, Alabama. He is from Jackson, Alabama, right up the street. And I want to see him do so well this year and get picked in the NFL draft. So I am big on Nehemiah this year. I think he bounces back.
And you bring up DJ James, Nehemiah Pritchett. I mean, I compare those two all the time to Carlton Davis and Jamel Dean. Carlton Davis never really got a lot of interceptions, but got a lot of PBUs.
Yep.
And that's exactly what DJ James is going to be. Jamel Dean, on the other hand, he got targeted a little bit more and got more interceptions. That's what I think Nehemiah Pritchett's going to do. But I do like your pick for most interceptions, but I don't want to spoil it for when Hillman comes along in a little bit.
Yeah, Jacob Hillman, who will join the show here after Blake. Not that we're running Blake out of here. Would never do such a thing. He's we always tell people, Blake, that we understand if they don't want to watch the YouTube version because we wouldn't want to look at our faces either. But this week's been an exception because we've had good-looking guests on all week. So I mean, we got to
love that.
We got to make sure that people are locked in. Hey man, give us the score prediction of Auburn UMass this weekend, and then let's hear where everybody can find you, love you, support you, and how much butt we're going to kick over here at the War Rapport Podcast Network this football season.
Fellas, I'm booging 110% right here. I think Auburn absolutely dominates this football game. And I'm going to start with this, all right? Hugh Freeze walking down the Tiger Walk, first game. everything Auburn has been through the past 2 years. You can even go back to the COVID year, not being able to fill the stadium up, Gus's last year, everything that happened with that, right? But the past 2 years have been absolutely miserable. And I think this fan base is going to bring it Saturday. I think Hugh Freeze is going to take this moment in, and I think these players are going to get behind him, especially these guys like in this DB room, a DJ James. This is his last year, right? He's going pro, okay? Nehemiah, who's been through the ringer at Auburn. Jalen, been through the ringer at Auburn, all right? They are going to back this cat in Hugh Freeze, and they're going to get behind him, and they are going to play their tails off Saturday. Another thing, breaking down the game. Like I said, UMass pushing the ball down the field. I know everybody's worried about Auburn stopping the run, but you're going to have to push the ball down the field and try to make a big play, man. And I just don't see how UMass can do that. If they couldn't do it against New Mexico State, how in the world are they going to do it against this secondary? I think it's going to be 52-16 because I think Peyton Thorne's going to bring it. Yeah, if Jarquez doesn't play, you're going to get Damari and all of those cats, man. Batee. I'm interested to see how much Jeremiah Cobb plays because I'm excited to see him. The kid out in space is electric. So, I think the wide receivers are going to bring it. I think Auburn's going to score early. I know me and Dustin kind of went back and forth in this on the show. He thinks it's going to be a little bit of a struggle early, but I think Peyton comes out. I think they're clicking, man. They get behind Hugh, and they light this thing up. And like I said, 16, I think they hold UMass to a couple field goals, and they score a garbage touchdown late. And I like Auburn covering. If you caught them at minus 35, I like Auburn covering by 1. So I'm taking Auburn. I'm taking the over. I'm straight booging. I'm on the orange and blue black.
Kool-Aid.
I am, dude. Like I just think it's a different tone at Auburn right now. So I'm excited about Hugh. But you can find us at the Uptempo Pod. What did Dustin say? We're moving the show to 11 tomorrow, I believe.
Sure.
Yeah, that kind of threw me for a loop. But Fridays we usually go at 10, but tomorrow we're going at 11. We go on Sundays at 3, and then I think what do we do? Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central live show now. So the schedule kind of got mixed up there a little bit, but yeah, man, go follow us on Twitter, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. And go sub to that YouTube channel, man. I think we're at 904 subs right now. So about to break 1,000, and everybody go follow the College Loop, sub to them, man. Love what you guys do. I wish you guys the best.
We couldn't be happier to be working with you, Blake. Blake Lane, everybody. Thanks for joining us, buddy.
Love you, fellas.
Love you. All right. Now we're going to enter what I've coined the Jacob half hour, since our next two guests are both named Jacob. And we're going to bring on Jacob Hillman of Auburn Sports Network, and he's going to talk about our season-long stat leaders. We're going to ask him a bunch of questions. We're going to bother him. It's our favorite hobby. Bugging Hillman is a blast. Jacob Hillman, welcome back to the College Loop, brother. Good to see you. How you doing?
Listen, y'all aren't bothering me one bit. I love joining the College Loop. Like was saying, it's always a blast joining y'all, and y'all do a great job. So I'm happy to be here, even in this makeshift studio, aka my car. We're making it work. So
the old Toyota 4Runner never did you wrong.
No, it never has, and I hope it doesn't at any point soon. Don't jinx that, Harrison. So I'm just happy to be here, and man, I'll tell you what. We had Tiger Talk a couple hours ago. This place, I don't think, is ready for the energy that we're going to see on Saturday at Jordan-Hare Stadium, and just across campus, and especially throughout this season. It is going to be a special weekend. It is going to be a special, special season.
AJ Rivera put it well here. Jordan-Hare Stadium is going to be bumping. Also, for those of you guys who have commented, keep dropping your comments, keep dropping your questions. I promise we're going to address them once we get through with the Jacob Hour and after Zach Card comes on. But while we've got these guys hanging out, and Dylan, I am so sick and tired of you and I playing this like cat and mouse game.
I'm the producer.
Okay, whatever. That's why we need an intern. If you're an intern, apply in the comments. Anyways, Hillman, we're going to ask you a bunch of hypothetical questions about Auburn football. I know you've not been asked anything about Auburn football all offseason. You've not talked about it one lick. So let's. This is
my first time.
I figured you probably don't know what Auburn football is.
I've been waiting for this moment all offseason long, so I'm here for it.
Yeah,
Pulling
I'm
pulling
sure
out the Phil Collins there for a second. Been waiting for
gonna
this moment.
I'm gonna let Dylan and Daniel run the table here on this one, and I'll chime in and annoy you guys periodically.
All right, Hillman. I gave you the list, right? You got them all thought out and planned out for what you're going to pick.
Pretty much.
So we're going to be picking the stat leaders for the 2023 season. And starting off, I think these first 4 categories are all going to be the same answers for 2 of them.
Right.
I'll let you kick it off with passing yards and passing touchdowns.
Yeah, that's obviously going to be Peyton Thorne. I think that he is the guy. I don't think that's something that is really in question at this point. Robbie Ashford, he put up a good fight in camp, but it was pretty clear, obviously, early on that Thorne was the guy. And I think Ashford's going to have his time, but it's going to be Thorne leading the charge, especially in the passing attack. Ashford will get his chances, especially running the ball, and that will be passing the ball as well. But Thorne is going to be the guy there.
Not so fast, my friend.
Oh, my Lord.
What if I told you that he did not only just put up a fight, he is still putting up the fight. And all it's going to take is a Peyton Thorne mistake for the Robbie Ashford train to keep on chugging along for the 2023 season, because he is who I have picked for passing yards and passing touchdowns. And I will never stop supporting Robbie Ashford. All you commenters out there, I'm on the hype train.
I do think Robbie definitely has the ability to do it, but I just think Thorne is the guy, and I don't think Coach Freeze is one that I think this first season he's gonna want to make. I know we've talked about this, and maybe not us, but it's been discussed how maybe these first 3 games you could see some different changes and interchangeability, but I do think that with the way Thorne has shown leadership, being named a team captain and things like that, I do think that he's going to be the guy. He's going to have a longer leash, and he's also, I don't know, I have a lot of faith in him. So I'm not sure. It would have to be, I think it'd be mid-season if that were to happen. I don't know if that'd be enough time for Robbie to catch up to Peyton Thorne. So I love your Robbie fandom, because I think Robbie's an incredible player and he has that ability to be a starting SEC quarterback, but I just don't think he's there yet.
There's a reason. Hey, can I chime in for a second before Dylan bugs too hard?
Already, Harrison?
Yeah, I am because I'm going to cut Dylan off on his whole Robbie Ashford hype train. I'm not saying Robbie Ashford's not talented. I'm not saying that he doesn't have the stuff. He doesn't have the juice. I'm not saying what he did at the end of last year isn't tremendously valuable to where this football program is right now, because it is. Hugh Freeze brought in Peyton Thorne for a reason, gentlemen. And Peyton Thorne won the starting job for a reason. He won it. He was named a captain for a reason. He will be your starting quarterback for a reason. All 12 to 13 games that Auburn plays this year. 12 to 15 if you ask Dylan, because he's been chugging Kool-Aid by the gallon.
Hey, but you were also chugging the Kool-Aid. We had the same season predictions. Might I add?
Yeah, I know.
10-2.
Yeah, I don't like it either, Hillman. I need to go back and revise. But I just don't think 10-2 is feasible. That being said, it will be Peyton Thorne, and it will be Peyton Thorne all year. That's where I'm at. Daniel, I'll let you chime in. If you want to go to Dylan's defense, be my guest. That typically doesn't happen on the show, though. You don't defend Dylan often.
No, but real quick, there's a comment that Dylan needs to put up on the screen. Hype me up a little bit, Dylan. You know the one.
Huh? Thorne was brought in for a reason. Thank you, AJ.
That's not the one.
I see Daniel put his Focused on Fenway podcast on here in the comment section.
Nope, I had a producer on that. That's his work, not mine. Put it up.
Jesus Lord. Moving forward with our next position group.
Dylan. Oh, hell no. I haven't talked yet.
All right, well then go and answer the question.
Thorne.
Thank you.
All right, Hillman. Now moving on from the quarterback to the guy next to him, the running back position. Who's going to be leading the charge in the running back room for the Auburn Tigers?
Yeah, I think it's Jarquez Hunter, and this one I had to think about a little bit, because I do think that the way this running back room is gonna be used, it's gonna be interesting, and I don't know how it's gonna be used, but I think it's gonna be different than we've seen in a long time. This is one of the best running back rooms that Auburn's had, and man, maybe since 2004. With Cadillac Ronnie, and before that with Trey Smith and Brandon Jacobs, that famous picture. I think that Damari Alston, I think Jeremiah Cobb, Brian Betty, they're obviously all going to have roles in this offense. And I think that they're going to put up numbers. But T is an interesting one, in my opinion, because he's going to be put in for explosive plays. He's obviously going to be a specialist, kickoff returns, and possibly punt returns. I don't think he'll do that as much, but he really does have that dynamic where the comparisons have been made to Ontario McCaleb. And I think that is a fair comparison. I think that that's I don't know if that's his ceiling, because Ontario McCaleb was a really good player, but I think he can do a little bit more than Ontario McCaleb. I think Ontario McCaleb, his senior year, and maybe even a little bit in 2011, figured out ways to run between the tackles and run up the middle. I think Battee already has that. And he has that experience at USF, and he's done it before. So I think he has a little bit more to him than McCaleb did. Jeremiah Cobb, obviously, he's a freshman. He's not going to get enough carries. But Alston, I think he's going to be a breakout player. He's obviously one of the leaders on this team, and I think he's going to get the second most carries behind Jarquez Hunter, and I think Hunter will ultimately end up leading in rushing yards and rushing touchdowns.
If you had to list them off, like the 1,000-yard rusher, and then how they're going to go from there.
Yeah, I think it would be Hunter. I kind of want to put a number on him, but I don't know, maybe 1,200 yards. Because again, I think because you look back in time, and I mean, guys like Trey Mason, Cameron Harris-Payne had 1,600 yards in 2014. That's insane. I think Auburn's going to throw the ball a little bit more, and I think with this rotation, he's going to get less carries than Cameron Harris-Payne did. So I think 1,100, 1,200 yards is where he sits, and I think Damari Alston probably 6, 7, maybe 800 yards if he really shows out. And then Battee, and then Jeremiah Cobb. I think that's how I would order them.
Damari Alston gets a head start. It's still Jarquez Hunter.
Daniel?
I've thought a lot about this one, and I really want to say Damari Alston, but I just can't quite bring myself to stamp off on that. Yep. So I'm going to stick with Jarquez like Hillman did. However, and yeah, like I'm kind of on the same wavelength as Hillman with that. I think Jarquez will come in about 1150. I could definitely see Damari getting about 7, 8. But I think this is my bold prediction for the year. I think both Cobb and Battee both break 500.
Wow.
Okay.
Cobb breaks 500 in 4 games?
Yeah, I don't think he redshirts. I think he's too talented to keep him off the field.
I don't disagree with that, by the way.
I think it's very possible. I think ideally you would love to have him for that extra year because you've got Alston and you've got Hunter. And the thing is, Hunter, you never know. He might, if he has a great year, he could be gone after this year. But point being, I think you're right. I think Cobb is going to have to play if he shows out, and that's just part of today and now. So.
All right, and then now to go. I have 2 different guys for these. So I'm going to split them up. Receiving yards. Who is going to be the leading receiver for the Auburn Tigers in 2023?
I think I've got one guy for both. I think this guy is special. I think he is far and away the best player in this room. And it's not necessarily a diss at anyone else in this room, but Shane Hooks he's going to be the guy. Hollywood, the nickname, it fits him well. I was at that scrimmage when he made that one-handed grab, and this guy, I cannot wait to watch him in live action, in games, and whatnot. What I'll say is he's going to get the ball a lot. He's a big target. He's a big body, and I think he's the furthest along. Coach Freeze has talked a lot this year about the receivers, and, I think when he talks about not being pleased with where they're at, he's doing it to push them. And he talks about that. He's talked about how he's had to be the jerk in practice and whatnot, and that is what it is. I think that is because he knows the potential for all these guys like Jay Fair, Omari Kelly. Those are 2 names that I think you need to keep an eye on. I think you were talking about Mike G. He loves Jay Fair. I love Jay Fair too. I think he might be the second best receiver in this room behind Shane Hooks. But I'll also say Rivaldo Fairweather. Don't sleep on him. I think he could lead the team in receiving touchdowns if Shane Hooks doesn't. But I've got Shane Hooks leading receiving yards and touchdowns. Maybe Rivaldo Fairweather for touchdowns.
You're so intuitive, Hillman, because I have Shane Hooks leading the charge receiving yards with receiving yards. And then I have Rivaldo Fairweather leading Auburn in receiving touchdowns as well. I think you finally get a real passing threat tight end that you've not seen since CJ Uzama. And I think Rivaldo Fairweather is probably going to be 3rd or 4th in receiving yards as well. Yeah. But Tarr, who are we looking at? Receiving yards, receiving touchdowns?
I hate hitting retweet on your answer. But yeah, I've got Shane Hookson receiving yards and Rivaldo Fairweather and receiving touchdowns.
And Daniel, wrap it up.
So being loyal to Nick Martiner has paid dividends so far. So we're going to keep on rolling with that for receiving yards. Touchdowns, I'm going to switch it up. I'm going to go with the man that everyone's been talking about, Shane Hooks.
One thing I want to add to that group, though, it could look really different. I think Hooks in Fairweather, I think Fair, and I have a lot of hope for Omar Kelly. But I think those three guys, the first three guys that I mentioned, I think those are the three that I know they're going to be in the rotation throughout the year. I think Camden Brown has a chance to be there. Jair Shorter, they're going to be up there. But it's crazy to say, but Auburn has a deep wide receiver room now. And Coach Freeze is going to be looking for anyone to step up and really show out. So I'm excited to see what that looks like in week 1 versus what it looks like in week 6, because I think it could look drastically different than it does this weekend.
And I'll switch it over to the defensive side of the ball, Hillman. Who do you have leading Auburn in tackles in 2023?
This was the most difficult one for me to come up with. The two leading returning tackles were Cam Riley and Keontae Scott. And I kind of want to pick Keontae Scott. But it's tough because when I think about a lot of the games that Auburn's going to play, I don't know how much these teams are going to be running the ball, because that is where Keontae Scott's going to make his money in the run game, making tackles. So I still think I'm going to go with him, because I just think that he's that kind of player. I think that in that star position, it's going to be way different for him. And he is really embracing that role. He's excited about it, and he's ready to go hit somebody. So that I think Scott steps up a lot in that star role and really steps it up, especially in the run game. I think his coverage, it's solid, and he can play cornerback. But because of how well he can tackle and how well he pursues the ball, I think that's where they really like him. They want him really stuffing the run game.
Yeah, I do like that answer a lot. I'm going to keep my transfer portal train running because I have Austin Keys leading Auburn in tackles. I think he's the best linebacker on the team by far, and Auburn has had a pretty good track record of having linebackers leading the team. So I'm a rock with the
man. Harrison's guy home, Papo, 91. It was crazy to look at the numbers again and see from 91 to about 65 tackles. Papo had 91, and Cam Riley had 65 or so. That was jarring to see, and I think it'll be closer this year than that.
I mean, they didn't call OP the freak for no reason.
No, you're not wrong.
Sorry, I had an opportunity to talk about Owen Papo on the show, and I had to please it.
You got Owen Papo, Kai, and Lee. Nehemiah,
yeah, I know. I'm having a great time, and we're about to give me an opportunity to talk about somebody else too that I really like to talk about. Jacob Hillman's absolutely right. It's Keontae Scott. Someone's got to stop the damn run, and I don't know who it's going to be. And I'm just being candid with you guys. I think someone's got to step up in that front. And like Hillman said, fitting the mold of that star position and embracing it, uber important. I've got Keontae Scott.
And Daniel, what you got?
Keontae Scott for me as well.
Keontae Scott. Well,
as far as stopping the run, I don't want to go with, because I don't think we're going to mention him further down. Marcus Harris, that guy, he's going to be really special this year, especially in run stuffing. And I think he even has the ability to rush the passer as well. He's going to be really good this year, and I think his leadership is going to show out as well.
Yeah, I think we talked about with Dustin too. I brought up Larry Nixon and his ability to stop the run. So linebackers are going to be very prevalent, hopefully, in this defense. But now to move to sacks. Hillman, who you got leading Auburn in sacks this season?
See, this one, I said the last one was more difficult, but I think this one might be the most difficult. It's hard to say I don't know who's healthy right now. I don't know who's going to end up starting most of these games. I think it's going to be one of the guys at the Jack, unless there's a massive rotation, because you've got Jalen McLeod, but I'm not sure how healthy he is right now. Elijah McAllister, obviously, Poseidon Silikite. I think three of those guys, they're going to get after the passer. I just don't know who's going to have enough opportunities to do it. But I'm still – I have a lot of hope for McLeod. I think if he gets healthy, I think it's him. And I think he's closer than maybe I think that maybe I think he might not play as much this week, and then going into Cal, he'll be fine. So I like Jalen McLeod. I think coming out that edge position, I think that he's going to be a really good player.
Well, I think it's going to be the first time in a long time, or even ever, that Auburn has a true freshman lead the Tigers in sacks. I got Keldrick Falk stepping up whenever he finally gets that starting nod and leading the charge in sacks. Daniel, who you got? You saw that train going? You just said,
yeah. The fact that they keep building Auburn student housing right on train tracks is just that's something I'm gonna have to complain to Mayor Honors about because this is ridiculous. But anyways, what was the question again? Because I did not hear. Sacks. All right, sacks. Marcus Harris.
I like that pick because I think he's going to have a special year, but it's just so hard for a defensive tackle to do that. I think he has the ability to do it.
A special one to do it.
Yeah, he's the guy that can do it. It's just so tough, man.
Keldrick Falk, send tweet.
There we go.
I love this Keldrick Falk.
This kid's playing on Sundays, folks, and it's going to take him 3 seasons to get there.
Yeah, and
3 seasons.
I love everything, all the talk around him, all the hype around him. He's getting these preseason All-American honors. That's a big deal. So I love seeing that for the kid.
His film is disgusting. Yeah, yep. He's absolutely good.
And now for the fun stats. Interceptions. Who's going to lead Auburn in interceptions in 2023?
I could go a lot of ways with this one, but I'm going to go with the simple answer. I'm going to go with DJ James. I think the veteran presence back there, I think the guy that he really showed out last year. Obviously, Auburn only had 6 interceptions last year. That's hard to believe. And 4 of them came under Cadillac as the interim head coach. So it's one of those things that you don't really have a lot to bet. And this is the most veteran group on the whole team. This is the one group that's returning pretty much everybody and adding a couple pieces. But this stat in particular, it's hard to say because we don't know exactly who the best ball hawk. We've obviously seen Nehemiah Pritchett. We've seen Jalen Simpson really show out in that aspect in prior years, but I don't know. I think DJ James really solidified himself as the number 1 guy back there, and I think that he will do it for Auburn.
Well, if you've been listening to the whole show, everybody at home, you already know who I'm going to pick here. I'm picking Jalen Simpson. I think the safety is going to lead Auburn interceptions. I like DJ James. I don't think he's going to get a lot of interceptions. He's not going to get targeted, and then when he does, he's going to bat the ball down. He's going to lead Auburn in PBUs, J-Simp, and interceptions.
I'm going to do it. I just want you to know. I just want you to know.
Really?
I'm going to do it. And it's going to be part of his campaign to take him up to a first-round draft pick in the NFL draft in 2024.
Are you going to go with the freshman or?
I just said the 2024 draft.
I didn't hear 2024. I just heard drafts, and I was like, this is
I'll start my Kyan Lee first-round propaganda in 2 years. All right, we'll get there. Nehemiah Pritchett's going to ball the hell out this year, folks. Opponents are not going to throw the ball at DJ James, and that's a layup answer when they do. He's going to bat it down, and Hillman, you're absolutely right. He's going to pick a lot of people off this year. Nehemiah Pritchett's going to do it more. I have him leading in pass deflections. I have him leading in interceptions. He needs a big year. He needs a bounce back year. And I'm telling you, if I've said it once, I've said it 1,000,000 times. That guy's special. He got better last year. His separation is none now in terms of letting guys get around him. He just the last 4 games, he was a different ball player. And I am super, super high on the things that kid can do with the ball. When the ball is being targeted to his receiver and his man. He's just locked down, and I expect a really big year from him. So I'm saying Nehemiah Pritchett, and if I'm wrong at the end of the year and the dude still goes first round, I don't apologize. And if I'm wrong at the end of the year and he doesn't go first round, I still don't apologize. So Daniel,
4 guys on here, 4 different answers.
Love it.
I'm going with one that has not been talked about at all, and I feel like it's just very disrespected's not the right word, but just he's kind of hiding behind all the stars in this DB room, and that's Zion Puckett. You've got 2 years of starting experience back there, and I think he's going to find himself targeted a lot. So I think he's going to have plenty of opportunities, and I think he's going to capitalize.
I think this
up here to do, Keontae.
I think this is a question we could all be wrong on. I mean, honestly, I mean, this room is. like I said, just last year with so few interceptions, it's hard to predict who's going to be the guy this year. So I'm excited to watch them play.
Right on.
You're right, Hillman. I'll go with my second choice then. Keldrick Falk is also going to lead Auburn interceptions as well. And then the last one, I have a little fun one for you, Hillman. Defensive touchdowns.
Yeah.
Who's going?
This one, I kind of had to get, you had to get random with this one because is it going to be fumble recovery? It's probably going to be pick sixes. So I would think 2 is probably is the number. It's got to be one of the guys we just mentioned, I think.
Fine. I'll take Nehemiah Pritchett again. Why not?
I think Nehemiah Pritchett has that pick six ability. He had one against LSU in 2020. I think he's got the speed for it. Simpson and DJ James obviously had one last year against Western Kentucky, but I think that I don't know if they have the speed that Nehemiah Pritchett does. I think Nehemiah Pritchett can get 2 pick sixes this year, and who knows? You never know. He could pick up a fumble and run it back. So I like Pritchett as my answer here.
I'm rocking with my guns here. I got Jay Simp. You mentioned he doesn't have the speed, but he does have the agility. Dude's a route runner in the defensive backfield. So I think Jay Simp's gonna get those 2 pick sixes this season for the Tigers.
I'm staying with Nehemiah Pritchett. I wasn't joking.
And Daniel, are you gonna stick with?
I'll stay with Zion. Why not?
I can see I think he plays a lot like Smoke Monday, where he could, always flow across the middle, and no, not that way. He's roving the middle. He's roving the middle of the field, and that's how he got his pick sixes. You never know.
I'm gonna do some slandering real quick. Smoke Monday never had an interception where he actually made a good defensive play on the ball.
Nah, I think that Tennessee one. I think that was a pretty good play.
All right, Hillman.
I'll give him that one. I'll give you that one.
I'm not running you out of here, but we are 15 minutes behind schedule. So
My bad.
And not your fault at all. Not your fault at all.
We'll go to 9:15. It's fine.
Well, it's the College Loop. We're behind schedule. What else is new? Give us your score prediction for Auburn UMass on Saturday. Tell everybody where they can find you, love you, and support you.
All right. Saturday is going to be interesting because I think UMass having a week under its belt, I think is going to help them a bit. Yeah, Auburn has film on them, but I think also the defense is going to take a quarter, maybe 2, maybe the whole half to really get adjusted, especially their quarterback. He seems to run the ball pretty well, and I think he can find some success there. So I think UMass will score a little bit early. I think they'll get to 17 or 21 points. So I'll put them at 21. I'll be pessimistic a little bit. I'll say Auburn scores, though. Auburn's going to score 49-21. That's my final score prediction.
49-21. Where can everybody find you?
Follow me on Twitter at Jacob Hillman AU. Also follow at AU Sports Network. This weekend, it's a big one for the broadcast. Jason Campbell will be starting his role as the color analyst next to Andy Burcham. So tune in beginning at 11:30 a.m. Central Time for the Tiger Tailgate Show, and then obviously kick off at 2:30. So you can find that broadcast on the Auburn Tigers app anywhere in the world. So make sure you tune in for that. And again, thank you guys for having me on. I always enjoy it and never hesitate to reach out and have me on. I love doing this. So War Eagle guys.
Jacob Hillman, you're the man. War Eagle buddy. See you soon. Jacob Hillman, AU Sports Network, everybody.
So before we get to our next guest, it's worth mentioning Utah is currently up 17-3.
That's all well and good. That's all well and good, guys. But I'm gonna put the big boy pants on here. I'm gonna step into the driver's seat. It is my utmost pleasure to introduce one of my great personal friends, very, very talented writer, the one and only sports editor of the Auburn Plainsman, Jacob Waters. Get my boy in here. What is up, Jacob? How's it going?
What's up, Daniel? Thank you for the kind introduction.
Oh, and I forgot to mention guest on the Paul Feinbaum show.
It's true.
Another personal friend of Feinbaum. Welcome aboard.
Look us up.
Yeah, Jacob, thanks for being flexible with us, man. We
of course, no problem.
If we're not running behind, we're not on the College Loop. So what else is new? Daniel, you got the keys.
So with our good friend Mr. Waters here, we are going to be talking about the top 5 games this season. I think the most economical way to go about this is 5, 5, 5, 5, 4, 4, 4, 4, and so on, as opposed to just list. So I'm not going to stall because, like everyone said, we were running behind. So, Jacob, what is the 5th most important game for Auburn this season?
Yeah, I was putting together this list this morning, and at 5, I have the Auburn versus Georgia game. I
Okay.
just think with that Georgia matchup, I'm not really expecting Auburn to win that game. So I think for Auburn, it's everything to gain and nothing to lose. So if Auburn comes out and loses by like 3 touchdowns at home, yeah, that would suck for Auburn, but it wouldn't be the most surprising thing. But if Auburn just keep it close for a little bit, I think that would turn a lot of heads. And then just because obviously it's a big rivalry game, I have that at number 5 on my list.
Dylan?
I also have the Georgia Bulldogs at my number 5 slot. Same reason you said. I think this game could be very reminiscent of the 2019 Georgia game, 21-0, but like neither team is really doing anything. Or was it 21-14? Which one was that one?
That was the final score.
21-14.
21-0, yeah.
I think this could be very reminiscent of that. Georgia struggles a little bit on offense because I just think that they just do sometimes. I think Auburn could find a way to be a little sneaky, but I just don't think this Auburn team is good enough to beat this Georgia team quite yet.
Fellas, I hate to sound like an echo, but Mr. Waters got it right. This is the 5th most important game on the schedule. The University of Georgia Bulldogs. Everything to gain for Auburn, nothing to lose, like you said.
I'm going to switch it up here. Arkansas is a team that a lot of people think is above Auburn right now. Dylan and I are very staunchly opposed to that viewpoint. So I think the 5th most important game of the year is when Auburn goes up to Fayetteville and proves that take wrong.
Sure. We can keep rolling.
So, Jacob, for number 4, who you got?
Yeah, I have the Arkansas game that you just talked about. I think the reason for me is that's the final SEC game before that Iron Bowl. So if Auburn can win that, get some momentum. I know Auburn plays in Mexico State right after that, but obviously Auburn's going to win that game. If Auburn can get some momentum with in my mind would be a really big road SEC win, get some momentum going to the Iron Bowl, I think that would be huge. And if you look at the games before Arkansas, you have Ole Miss, Mississippi State, and Vanderbilt, which are all like really winnable for Auburn. So if Auburn can win those 3 games, then beat Arkansas, then beat New Mexico State and be on like a 5-game winning streak going to the Iron Bowl, I think the Arkansas game could be really important for maybe not necessarily just for that game, but for setting up for that Bama game in two weeks later.
I have the LSU Tigers as my number 4 pick. The Tiger Bowl, as you will. Auburn finally has the win streak going on in Tiger Stadium, and just trying to keep that alive. But I don't know if it kind of depends on what this LSU team is going to look like, and we'll find that out on Sunday. But overall, I just think that this game is going to be I don't want to say a make or break, but I think this season definitely does tell you a lot about this Auburn team, especially because you're going to the most hectic environment in college football. If it's not a whiteout game in Penn State, it's Tiger Stadium at 8 o'clock at night, and it's going to be very telling for this team.
Dylan, I'm a little bit different than you here. I've actually got the Cal game at number 4. And you guys may have that one a little higher. That may not make y'all's lists. I think this is an important one, guys. A road P5, if you want to call them a P5 opponent. I don't think Cal's all that good. I think it's wild that Auburn's an underdog, but I think it's so important for Hugh Freeze and his first administration to go on the road against a P5 opponent, and you're one of 2 of a home and home, and get a notable profile win in the early season. You really need to be. Let's be honest, fellas. When you roll in and you've got UGA at home, you need to be 4-0. You need to be. And the game standing between those 2 that you guys are probably going to talk about is also on my list. It's actually next. But I think that's super important that Auburn goes out and kind of imposes its will on Cal, because you need to set the pace and you need to get out to a fast start, because as the season goes on, things sure as hell don't get easier. So that's where I'm at on the Cal game. I've got that as the 4th most important game.
I've got Cal at number 4 as well. I feel like the main reason that this is really, really important is that if Auburn wins this game, it's not really going to raise any eyebrows. It's just kind of what everyone expects to happen. But if Hugh Freeze, with his first coaching staff and this revamped roster, goes out to Berkeley and they lose, that's gonna bring some questions. There will be instant doubt if Auburn made the right choice, and you don't want that to start the second week of your tenure. So that's why I've got it number 4. So Jacob, keep it rolling. Who do you have at number 3?
Yeah, at 3, I have the Iron Bowl here. I think it's kind of like Georgia a little bit. I'm not going to expect Auburn to win that game. Although actually, if this makes any sense, I don't expect Auburn to win it, but I'm going to predict Auburn to win it though right
Sure.
now. But
I get
it's
that.
kind of if Auburn ends up losing it, then okay, whatever. It would kind of be unrealistic to say Hugh Freeze is going to beat Alabama in year 1, but it could happen. But yeah, this doesn't really need that much explanation. It's Hugh Freeze's first Iron Bowl, and since it's at home, that automatically is going to give Auburn a chance to end the regular season in a terrific way for Hugh Freeze. So I think I have that at 3, just because, like I said, with Georgia, it's not like I'm expecting them to win, but it is the Iron Bowl, so that's just automatically for me going to be in that top 5.
Oh, let's see. I'm going to kick it a little different here. I'm going to go the Week 4 matchup at Texas A&M, the game that I have been nonstop giving hot takes about. And by hot takes, I mean very, very good takes that are going to be
Borderline
true.
hate speech. Borderline hate speech.
No, I've never directly said that I hate anyone on this show.
Admitting it is the first step.
That's right. Yeah, except
I've never
the
said
first step.
I've never directly said that I hate them. Never said it on the show, on record. But yeah, this is going to be the game that's going to prove a lot about this Auburn team. And you brought up the Cal game. Yeah, kind of. I just don't think Cal is there yet to really show a lot about what this Auburn team can be. A&M is the game you're going to be looking out for. And if you look back, this season feels a lot like 2013. And it's weird that I'm saying that because I hate comparing anything to a good thing. That's why I really hated when I thought Joey Gatewood was next Cam Newton. That was wrong.
A little off there.
Very, 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 very off. But I just when I look at this, when I think about this game, Auburn's first SEC game in 2013 was Texas A&M, the year after the 3-9 season, firing Gene Chizik. Hallelujah that they fired him at that moment. Then you look at this season, a bad season before, you fired another train wreck of a head coach, and then you open the season up in the SEC with Texas A&M, and all I could think about is Rod Bramlett's call at the end of that game. The Auburn Tigers just announced to the college football world that they are back, and I think this is where Auburn gets Jimbo Fisher fired.
You know, I'm actually on the same wavelength as you here, Dylan, about the third most important game on the schedule being Texas A&M. There's a number of reasons for this. One, Texas A&M's in the West. I mean, first off, that's just important to win not just your conference games, but your divisional games. that's a start. And also, you've got LSU and Alabama hanging and waiting throughout the rest of the season, and they're the presumptive favorites to win the West. You got to be competitive in the games you're not playing them. Texas A&M. This is a make or break year for Jimbo Fisher, and arguably, it might be a bigger game for Jimbo Fisher than it is for Auburn. I would also be remiss if I did not mention, outside of the one time that Brian Harsin headed to College Station as the head coach of the Auburn Tigers, Auburn has not struggled in Aggie Land. Auburn does not lose in College Station. That is not a place that scares me.
Auburn West Campus.
And it doesn't. Home of the 12th man, great, good, that's whatever. I watched the Johnny Football documentary just like everybody else. It was awesome. Not really, it was very mid. But this is an important one, more important for Jimbo Fisher to keep his job, but also to get Auburn started out on the right foot in SEC play. It is so imperative. If you can take care of business against A&M, people are going to start taking you seriously because for whatever reason, the national media, and this is not me saying, oh, I hate the man, but for whatever reason, we have gaslit ourselves into thinking that Texas A&M is worth talking about again, when all they have done is prove that they're not over the past couple of years. And I'm sorry, folks, that's true. If that hurts your feelings and you're an Aggie fan, drop in the comments. Let's chat. I'm not the A&M hater that Dylan is. I'm just being honest. But Texas A&M is my number 3 most important game on the Auburn schedule for that reason.
You know, I'm going with Mississippi State at my number 3. 2-game losing streak against them.
Yeah.
And the last time they were in Jordan-Hare, it was not pretty. Right. I don't think anyone wants to talk about that, so I'm just going to move past that. But that's kind of a memory. A, you're trying to erase that, and B, it's just kind of one of those like you said, Harrison, like they're a West opponent. Like you've got to win those games, and I kind of have them on this list. The same reason I have Arkansas is Auburn will have the chance to prove once again that yes, we are moving back past them in the pecking order. So Jacob, who do you have at number 2?
Yeah, before I get to number 2, I want to say to Dylan, don't feel bad about that Gatewood comparison because I was super high on Woody Barrett too. It was amazing.
Believe me, I was too, and I also Jeremy Johnson was going to win the Heisman. I've been through the ringer with Auburn quarterbacks.
Yeah, me too. But yeah, at number 2, I have the Ole Miss game. I think there's so much storyline there with obviously Freeze being there, and all the links to Auburn getting Kiffin last fall. I mean, the atmosphere is just going to be absolutely electric. I think it would be, which is how hyped that game's going to be. It would be pretty bad for Auburn to lose that. You got to think of the schedule before that Ole Miss game. You got A&M, Georgia, and LSU, and to me, there's obviously Georgia and LSU are really losable, and then A&M, in my opinion, is too. So if Auburn came out and started off, let's say 0-3 in the conference, and then lost to Ole Miss too, that would be an 0-4 start. That would be an 0-4 start to the SEC play, which would obviously not be a good start at all.
I'm gonna rock with you here. I also have the Ole Miss Rebels at the number 2, the highest ranking I'd ever give them in anything. But yeah, you bring up the storylines of this game. Hugh Freeze playing against Ole Miss, his old team that he brought up from the ashes that now they hate him for whatever reason other than the fact that I'm not going to get into that. But yeah, the storyline and it just all rings. This is going to be a great game that Auburn's going to win because history has shown that Auburn owns that state in the West.
I've got the Ole Miss game at number 2 as well, fellas. Jacob, you're absolutely correct in my opinion. Let me add a little bit of editorialization here since we're already dragging Zach Card out and making him wait forever. He'll be all right. Hugh Freeze is not losing to Ole Miss in his first year at Auburn. It's not happening. And this game is tremendously important because a lot of people think that Ole Miss is pretty damn good this year. I think they're pretty average. I think they're an above average football team. I've not seen enough in terms of players on the defensive side of that ball for me to look and say, yeah, Ole Miss has got what it takes to win the West. They don't have what it takes to finish second in the West.
Hey,
not to mention, I've heard nothing but good things about, Jackson Dart's come so far along. He's such a good football player. Then why was he not that good of a football player last year? I've just got questions. And this is not me hating on Ole Miss, but if you think that Ole Miss is better to Auburn or superior in any way, just look at the numbers. They really don't lie. That football program should not scare a single Auburn fan. And it quite frankly, it never will. Regardless of, even when they were very, very good a couple years ago with a young man at quarterback that you may remember, and they won 10 games. It was like going to the Super Bowl for Ole Miss. You want to talk about Auburn having little brother syndrome? Yeah, let's talk about that. Daniel, you're on to your number 2 pick.
So we're so close to going around the horn here. I really don't want to ruin it, but unfortunately I have to. At my number 2 spot, I've got the Iron Bowl. Obviously, big game. A lot of people, it's going to be number 1, even if both teams were to somehow go into it 0-11.
Sure.
But very big deal. Nick Saban doesn't do his best coaching in Jordan-Hare. He dang near got out-coached, and some might say he did get out-coached by Brian Harsin with a backup quarterback and a trash can at the kicker position. And that's not Evan McGuire slander. That's just facts. I'm sorry. But yeah, obviously the Iron Bowl, Alabama's got 3, 20, 21, 22. Yeah, 3 wins in a row. Auburn's got to punch back soon. Will this be the year? I don't know, but it'll be a big game.
Mr. Waters, you're number 1.
Yeah, number 1. I think, or I don't know, at least Dylan Harrison, you already touched on it, but the A&M game, that's my number 1 most important game. I think just mainly because it's the first SEC game of the season and it's on the road. I know Dylan's takes about A&M, and while I don't fully agree to this extent, I understand the A&M slander, but at the same time, it's so early in the season. Auburn's still going to be gelling together. That's still going to be a tough game, and even if A&M ends up going like 5-7 again, if Auburn can look back on the season
when they wind up going 5-7,
we beat A&M week 4 on the road. That could still be a big win regardless of A&M's finishing record. And like I said, you got Georgia and LSU after that. which, like I said, in my opinion, I think Auburn's going to lose both of those games. So if Auburn loses to A&M, that would basically be an 0-3 start to the SEC, which obviously you don't want that to happen. And even if that does happen, I wouldn't sound the alarm and be like, oh my gosh, the Freeze hire was terrible. It's just really unfortunate SEC scheduling. But I think that is a really important game. Because like I said, if Auburn can win it, I think that would be really impressive. And if Auburn loses it, then you're probably looking at an 0-3 start to the SEC.
I think that's on the table. All right, Dylan, go ahead and tell us about the Iron Bowl.
I give a little bit more slander towards Ole Miss than I do at Texas A&M. I just think Auburn's going to get Jimbo Fisher fired, and I'm just going to be laughing my butt off on Sunday morning when I get the headline on my ESPN app. But yeah, my number one's the Iron Bowl. I honestly thought it was going to be unanimous number one. I wrote when I made this list, Alabama was one, and then I went to the schedule to pick my games. That's how I do this because it doesn't matter. Like Daniel said, if both teams are 0-11 going to this game, it's the biggest game of the season no matter what. We hate each other. We do. I'm using we because I am repping all Auburn right now. And Utah. Go Utes. This game is going to be very telling of the season. This is going to wrap up the season in either a fabulous way or just Auburn's in a rebuilding set. There's not a bad way to end this game unless somehow Alabama has a somewhat decent quarterback who can throw the ball for 300 yards, which I don't think is going to happen in the slightest this year. But when I compared it to 2013 when I mentioned Texas A&M, I might bring it up again. If there's ever going to be a year where an Auburn football team should not beat Nick Saban on the latter part of his career, this would be the year.
You know, Dylan, I really did this to shock everybody. I left the Iron Bowl off my list.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Go ahead and talk about the Iron Bowl.
Yeah. So I had the Iron Bowl at number one. There is so much element that, like Dylan just hit the nail on the head. It really does not matter. In not just in an Auburn, Alabama lore, if you will, not in just an Iron Bowl lore. In the state of Alabama, nothing matters more than the Iron Bowl. You are a king for 364 days, and then you play it again. It does not matter which team comes in favored. It doesn't matter who's got the Heisman favorite, or if one of those teams has a guy that's slung the rock for like 1,000,000 yards. It doesn't matter. It is the ultimate equalizer. There is a tangible difference in atmosphere. My senior year, Auburn was 6-5 going into the Iron Bowl. And it still felt like both teams were playing for a national championship because you are playing for a state championship in the state that college football matters more there than anywhere else. That's a fact, folks. There's no pro sports. And Mississippi's irrelevant. I will say this much. It is not going to be a measure. Jacob, you hit the nail on the head. There is not a measure of is Hugh Freeze successful or not. As long as you play him reasonably close, even if you lose the ball game, it's okay. I do think there's a real world where Auburn has 8 or 9 wins going into the Iron Bowl. Does anyone in this room know the success of Nick Saban against an 8 or 9 win Auburn team?
I do.
It's not good. Folks, I'm crazy. And Waters, I usually don't sunshine pump this hard for football. That's usually my basketball shtick. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. I think the Auburn Tigers are winning the Iron Bowl this year. And I think it's the most important game in the schedule every year, but certainly this year. So, Daniel, go ahead.
And my job here, Waters, is to bring everyone back down to earth after something like
gotta
that.
have one person.
Someone has
that
to.
matter. I call them the sunshine pumping twins. But anyways,
Wait till basketball season.
I'll check you on it then too. And just kind of come back in. Unrealistic expectations. I'm not saying they're unrealistic. Lead to disappointment. Shout out my brother Chris Mendoza over at the Auburn Villager. Great article he wrote. Go check it out. But anyways, my most important game of the year, and I'm not going to spend too much time elaborating on it since all three guys already spoke on it, but the Ole Miss game gets it for me.
Right on. Jacob, can we get a score prediction for this weekend's matchup against UMass and where everybody can find you, follow your work, and show some love?
Yeah, I'll do my prediction first. I think right now I'm saying that 41-10 Auburn.
Love it.
I think kind of like Jacob said before me, I think maybe that first half Auburn would take some time to get rolling, but by that second half, I don't see Auburn having any problems. So I'll go 41-10, and y'all can just follow me on Twitter at @JacobWaters_.
Right on. Right on. Check your workout over at the Auburn Plainsman as the sports editor, correct?
Correct.
All right, man. Well, you're a friend of the program now. Thanks so much for joining us. Jacob Waters of the Auburn Plainsman, everybody.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. All right. Now we've kept him waiting for literally a half hour. And he's rounding out the show. Make sure you're dropping your comments, asking your questions. We're still going to have an open question session. That's not getting thrown away. We're going to take care of everybody. We've got questions we want to answer. I want to welcome up Eagle Eye TV's very own Scholarship Award recipient, Zach Card, absolute dog. Bring him on the show, Dylan.
There he is.
Zach.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Hey, we thought we'd just let it marinate, and let you hang out. So
hey, well, I was kind of hoping y'all go a little bit over. Colin, our boy Colin, double booked me tonight. I was at the Auburn soccer game doing a package, so I was crossing my fingers. Yeah, it worked out perfectly.
Well, we ran not just a little bit over; we ran a lot over. So Zach, thank you for being flexible. Thank you for coming back on the show, friend of the program. Glad to see you. We're talking Auburn floor, Auburn ceiling. Daniel, you want to run this one again? I'm going to let you run point again if you want to, buddy. My voice is a little sore.
Yeah, I got it. So Auburn floor, Auburn ceiling, there is a lot of discrepancy there, and there always is. That's just not exclusive to – am I coming through? My Wi-Fi is pretty bad.
We got you. We got you.
Dylan? Okay, yeah. Cool. Just want to make sure before I spend a bunch of time talking for no reason. So every year there is a very, very diverse range of what Auburn fans expect the team to do. Even last year, I remember seeing on Instagram, one person thought we were going to go 3-9, and one person thought we were going to be in the playoff. So it's just par for the course. So, Zach, what's your floor for the year for Auburn?
So my floor, I've got us at 4-7. I think one of those non-con games, I think, is possible we can drop. I think we could drop against California. I don't think against the other three teams we're going to lose. So those are 3 automatic wins. And I think we're guaranteed at least 1 win in the SEC. Bottom line, if we're awful, horrible, bottom line, we're going to get 1 win in the SEC, and we're going to win those 3 non-con games outside of California. That's a toss-up to me.
That would be a 4-8 season, by the way.
4-8, sorry.
We just omit one of the games.
Yeah. One of those doesn't matter. It doesn't count.
They drop your lowest score.
Exactly.
That's right.
Exactly.
That's right. Zach, for Auburn to go 4-8, a lot of things have to go wrong, clearly. But what does that look like in terms of is it injuries? Is it schematics? Or there's an element of the SEC. It's not always X's and O's. It's Jimmy's and Joe's. I mean, what would have to go horrifically wrong there?
I think everything from top down would have to go wrong. I don't.
Uh-oh. We might have lost Mr. Card.
It is wild to say 4-8.
Sorry. Someone called me right in the middle of it and mess it up because I'm on my phone.
Don't they know better, man? You're busy.
Yeah, come on. But, yeah, everything would have to go wrong. Probably Jarquez would get injured or suspended if, who knows what's going on with that. I'm not going to touch on that. Just everything has to go wrong. Quarterback, maybe both quarterbacks go down. We're stuck with the third string. Not that Holden or Ashford, whoever is in that third spot, is bad or anything, but it would have to take some injuries. It would have to take some things to go wrong. But floor, I think, worst case scenario, 4-8.
I'm a little more optimistic on the floor. I think that 5-7 is the floor. I think there's a lot of losable SEC games, fellas. LSU, Georgia, Alabama's are the givens. A&M's right there. As much as it pains me to say, Ole Miss is losable. I guess theoretically so is New Mexico State. But I mean, I think that's my floor is 5-7. Daniel, where are you at for your floor?
So my floor, I'm thinking 5-7 as well. Obviously the 3 group of 5 team or 2 group of 5, 1 FCS. It's 3 wins right there. I don't see Auburn losing to Cal, and then I don't see Auburn losing to Mississippi State. I'm gonna stick with Mississippi State. It's either Mississippi State or Vanderbilt, but Vanderbilt's on the road, and even though it'll only be 28,000 people and probably 21,000 of them will be Auburn fans,
you're highballing.
Still, still just a road game. It's just Auburn doesn't travel, or the fans do. The team sometimes they don't. Sure. So my floor is 5-7.
Dylan?
My floor is 6-6. It's hard for me to believe that a season after hiring the worst head coach in Auburn athletics history, you don't go bowling.
Tony Barbie would like a word.
Brian Harsin will not be getting a word because I'm not going to let him on the show. But yeah, I think the floor is 6-6. This team is going to go bowling. It's hard for me to believe that an improved team and improved coaching staff, and it's kind of easy to start from zero to get better than negative numbers whenever you're talking about in terms of improving a head coach. Yeah, I think 6-6 is where we're going to go from here. I think if you don't beat both Mississippis, you're going to split it, and I think you're going to split one between Arkansas and Texas A&M at the bare minimum.
James Barnett kind of agrees with you there. Dylan says the floor is 6 and the ceiling is 11. If Auburn only wins 4 games, that means that they lost half their team to injuries or something else. Just his opinion. Yeah, James, you're right. I mean, if you only win 4 games, and I think that's what Zach means, is absolute worst case apocalypse strikes. There's quite literally a tornado that comes through practice while guys are on the field, things like that. That is certainly plausible if everyone gets banged up. Mr. Card, let's open it up. Let's talk about ceiling before we get to where we actually think that Auburn can wind up. What is your ceiling for Auburn football this year?
Yeah, I don't hate that 11 win number, but I'm going to go around 10. I know that's where y'all think we might sit after the season's all said and done, but I think that's our ceiling. I don't know if we can beat 2 out of the 3, LSU, Georgia, and Bama. I just don't think that's going to happen. I think we might win 1, and I think that'll put us at 10 wins, but I just don't think that we could beat all 3 of them.
AJ Rivera says floor is 6 and 7, losing bowl game. Ceiling is 11 with a bowl win. That's something important to mention. I think that if you're looking at including the bowl record, I think 7 and 6 would be the floor, because I actually think Auburn's going to start winning bowl games. Which will be refreshing. Daniel, your ceiling for this team.
So my ceiling is 9 and 3. And then you either go to New Orleans or Tampa for a bowl game, make some noise there and win to be 10 and 3 on the year. I'm with Zach. I'm just not those 3 games, man. Alabama, Georgia, Texas A&M. I think 1 is a realistic number, and I think you'll slip up somewhere before that, outside of those 3. So I think 9 and 3 is plausible. But I don't see anything higher than that at this point. If Auburn, gets rolling out of the gate and goes into the Georgia game 4-0 and shocks the world, then I'd definitely like to revisit this discussion. But
sure, and we will. Dylan, I'll let you go first. I'll go ahead and cheers you on the Kool-Aid, though. Cheers.
Wrong side. There we go.
Cheers.
Yeah, my ceiling is 11 and 1. I think that at the best case scenario, you're going to beat Alabama and LSU. I think Georgia's too good. So I think my ceiling is a West championship. That's where I'm sitting at. I think you just take down LSU in Tiger Stadium and take down Alabama to the end of the season.
I'm not that.
That's a ceiling. It's a ceiling.
It is
prediction.
It's one of the ceilings of all time. I mean, theoretically, the ceiling is 15-0.
Exactly. So we're sticking. That's my prediction.
Okay. Sure. I'm drinking. I've only had 2 gallons of Kool-Aid. I think you've had 4. So I'm going to be a little realistic here. I think it's 10 without a bowl win, 11 with a bowl win. And I'll be honest, guys, if Hugh Freeze can get what I think he can get out of this team, I don't think that's unreasonable. I do think you lose to Georgia. I think it's closer than a lot of people would project it to be, but I think you lose to Georgia. I do think that you go to LSU and probably fall in Death Valley. And I mentioned earlier in the show, I do think Auburn can win the Iron Bowl this year. I think the path is right there in front of you. 10-2 feels on the table. At that point, you probably finish, second in the West? LSU wins the West. They go play Georgia in Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Have fun with that. Better you than me. And then you go to a bowl game and you finish the season 11-2. I do want to put it out there, though. If Auburn finishes the season 9-3, goes and wins a Sugar Bowl, and goes or similar. Sugar, it's like when you go to a rental car place, it's like Kia Soul or similar. Yeah, Sugar Bowl or similar. and wins, and you have a 10-win season. under year one of Hugh Freeze, not only is this season a success, it is a astronomically tremendous success. If you have a double-digit win count in year one, I mean, there's not going to be a soul within light years of this college football universe that doesn't think that Auburn hit a home run hiring Hugh Freeze. So, I mean, if you hit the ceiling that I think is truly attainable, and Daniel, Zach, you guys mentioned too as well, 9 wins in the regular season, possibly going and winning a bowl game. That is huge, right? So it'll be very interesting to see how that shakes out. Card, I do want to get where you think Auburn will be this year.
I'm thinking 7-8 wins. I'm going to err on the side of 8. So that's where I think we're going to go. A little bit above the middle of the pack. But I think with the SEC, everyone's so good. Anyone could beat anyone on any given week. I mean, we could lose to Vandy in Nashville. We could lose to Mississippi State. I think any of these games are winnable and any of these games are droppable. So I'm going to go kind of right down the middle, 8-5.
Okay. I like that.
Sure.
Dylan, Daniel, and I have already given our season predictions, and I somehow landed on 10-2. I know I'm smoking something, and I need to figure out what it is because I have a problem. I do want to get your UMass score, Auburn UMass score, while we still got you, and then Daniel, Dylan, and I will give our revised UMass score. I had to rethink some things, mostly because I forgot about the running clock feature, which actually alters my score kind of significantly. So I want to get your Auburn UMass score and give us where you where you think that Auburn can excel on Saturday and what's successful for Auburn on Saturday.
Okay, so I've been thinking about this the whole soccer game. I haven't really been focusing on the soccer game. I've been thinking of what I'm going to say for my score prediction. I think it's going to be 47-17. It was I was sitting at 52 before. I think it's going to go down 47. We don't hit that 50 burger quite right. But yeah, 47-17. I think we're going to come out early, air the ball out. He was going to show a little bit of the offense off that we didn't see on A-Day because of all the rain and how nasty that weather was that day. I think he's going to show off a couple things, and we're going to start cruising on him. And like Mike G said earlier, that we're going to probably let up a garbage time touchdown or field goal or two. So that's how UMass gets that 17.
Oh, Daniel, Dylan's got the Ultra Boog on right now.
I got the orange and blue goggles on.
Let's hear it. Go ahead, Dylan.
The Auburn Tigers are going to cover that spread. I'm going to stick with Mike G's thing, cover the spread by 1. I got 49-10 covering the spread by 1. And on their route to a 10-2 season where they will finish 3rd in the West and play Wisconsin in a bowl game.
Right on. Okay. Oddly specific.
Yeah.
It happens. It happens a lot.
Okay. Daniel, your score prediction. If Daniel is still alive and well. If not, I'll go ahead and say mine is 45-13 Auburn.
Score prediction. That's tough.
Even tougher when you don't have service. Yeah, we got you now.
Yeah,
you got me?
Yes.
The internet service.
Okay, sorry, my Wi-Fi is so bad. Give me 45-10.
Okay, so Daniel and I are right there, and neck and neck. Zach Card kind of in that same neck of the woods. Awesome. So that's where we're at. Drop your score predictions for those of you guys hang out in the chat. Start throwing the questions our way because we're going to start opening this up as soon as we kick Zach Card off. Just kidding. We let him go back to the rest of his evening. Zach, I appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much for coming on the show. We really, really appreciate having you on. Love having you here. Friend of the program. Welcome back anytime that makes you happy. Congratulations on the scholarship, by the way. We are super, super proud of you. So well-deserved. And Zach won't brag on himself enough, but I will because this man is an outstanding member of Auburn student media, as so many of the individuals that there are at Auburn. It is ridiculous how talented and how deep they are. Tell everybody where they can find you. Love you, support you, and check out your work.
Yeah, so on Twitter and Instagram at ZachCard _ZACHCARD with an underscore. To show Eagle Eye TV some love. We got a bunch of young student journalists trying to make it out into the TV world. So show us some love.
Trying to make it out the studio.
Yeah,
thanks so much, Zach.
Shoebox studio.
Thanks so much for everything, Zach. Zach Card, everybody. All right, gentlemen, before we get to questions, I am feeling loopy. Dylan, I'm going to ask you a massive favor. What are you shaking your pen about?
Oh, I got some comments that I've already started in reference to the shirt.
Okay,
I might be a little biased.
That's fine. I'm going to let you read that. I'm going to go grab a Coca-Cola super quick while you're reading.
All right, coming from Lauren Collins. I love my Feeling Loopy shirt, and she also goes by and says that it's the best shirt ever. If you don't know why I'm biased, that is my girlfriend. She's got a shirt, and she absolutely loves it. And if you do not have one, you need to get one. They are the Feeling Loopy shirts on the warreport.com. Only $25 for the most comfortable shirt you will ever wear. Football season is literally right around the corner, and the corner is ever getting closer. So pack up your game day and look good while doing it and get your own Feeling Loopy shirt. And I mean, Lauren has good taste. What can I say? She loves the shirt. She loves me.
Well,
I think she has great
one
taste.
half of those things we can agree on. The other one, we need to figure out what % of the show profits we give to her to put up with you. All right, folks, let's open it up to some questions. Let's see. Jonathan Conley said he would like to retract his score from earlier. He gave, can you throw that up there for me, Dylan? He gave, let's see, he said, give me 48-13 final, maybe a little carried away, but my 63-13 bludgeoning. I agree with that. The running clock. John, by the way, thanks for hanging out. If you want to pop back in the stream and answer some questions, boys, I'm down if John wants to come answer some more questions.
I'm down.
So you got the link, man. Come back on in. Let's roll through some other ones. AJ Rivera's super theoreticals. We got to talk about. Super theoretical. Auburn goes 11-1 with Georgia lost, but faces them again in the SEC championship game. Beats Georgia and goes on to win the Natty. Instant reactions to this, other than I want whatever drugs he's on.
You need a pair of these too, AJ.
Orange and blue. God.
I mean, if Auburn does hit that ceiling of 11-1, and you, of course, if you in that scenario you're losing to Georgia, you're going to play them again in the SEC championship. And it's really hard to beat a team twice. And we've seen it happen before where it's teams that seem to throttle some teams, struggle in the second game of the season. So, I mean, looking at it that way, I mean, if Auburn does go 11-1, I think this is very feasible to happen. But I just don't think that that's what's going to – I don't think that's actually what's going to be going on.
Yeah, I think that's this is some kind of drug that I've not seen in a while. But let's look at some other score predictions from James Barnett. 56-6. I don't hate this one. I do think UMass grabs a touchdown. I do.
That could be a touchdown.
That could be. And a missed extra point. And you know what? I'm now rooting. James Barnett, I'm now rooting for your score because that would be hilarious. So, yes, I like this a lot.
Yeah, I got some more comments from the top of the show, Tarr.
Yes, let's go.
All right, so I got from John Lee. College Loop TV setup thread needs to happen on the Bird app Saturday. It will not happen Saturday, but I'm down to do this every other Saturday that all of us are not in Auburn, Alabama for the Auburn Tigers game.
So by that, he means that, it looks like John Conley has rejoined the program. Welcome back, John.
Hello. Happy to be back.
Have you enjoyed the show?
Oh, yes. It's been a great time. It's been an absolute great time. You guys have done an absolute phenomenal job with this live stream. It's been a ton of fun. I've enjoyed every second of it.
And this is coming from a non-Auburn fan, just a guy that just loves ball. So I'm glad to hear that. That means
that's true. Real quick though, we've been saying War Eagle a lot. Got to give a shout out to my Georgia Southern Eagles. Southern.
War Eagle to that.
Yes. What about the University of Auburn War Eagles? Thoughts?
Do what? I mean, listen. I've been enjoying it. I'm gonna be watching probably a lot more Auburn football than I have all my entire life. I'll be watching a lot of Auburn football this year. I'm super excited about what Auburn can do. I'm super excited about it. I think in the West, they have a chance to. I mean, you guys have talked about this entire show. They have a chance to really they can really be anywhere within the stretch of the West. They can finish last at their worst. They can finish second. I mean, there's really nothing that can stop them from doing either one of those things.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna answer some more fan questions. I guess fans such a stretch. Looper questions. John, hop in as much as you want.
We got Riley.
I got something to say first. So, John, I've been noticing the logo on your shirt, and I was like, where have I seen that before? My favorite country singer, Cole Swindell.
That's right. Good old Cole Swindell, baby.
Let's see. I also got a comment. I'm just gonna get this one out of the way very quickly because I did the research on this while everyone else was talking. Who was the last first-round wide receiver from Auburn? And you'll be shocked to know that was Terry Beasley in the 1972 NFL draft. So it's been a while. We had a tight end go in the 80s, but 1972 was the last wide receiver to go in the first round.
That's a tough stat.
At least it's somebody that has their number retired. I mean,
that's a rough stat. Let's talk about B. Wells Forehead again. Will Auburn have a better record than Florida?
Yes.
Yeah.
Napier's getting fired, but not tonight. But at some point soon.
Not tonight, but tomorrow. I'm looking at the Florida schedule right now. I'm gonna run through real quick. Can we do this for funsies? Can we just run through?
Yeah, why not?
Since it's been put on the
Are we saying win loss?
Yeah. We'll just kind of go with the general consensus here. Utah, they're going to lose. McNeese, win. Tennessee, loss. Charlotte, win. Kentucky, loss. Vanderbilt, win.
Loss.
Kind of a toss-up. I'm going to be generous and say win. At South Carolina, loss. Georgia, bloodbath.
Loss.
Arkansas, loss. LSU, bloodbath. Missouri, toss-up.
Could be a good game. That could be a
Florida
very
State,
good game.
Loss. Yeah. B. Will's forehead. If Auburn doesn't have a better record than Florida this year, there's going to be some problems.
And go to B. Will's forehead again. Florida is straight cheeks.
Yes.
I also have who knew Graham Mertz was garbage. I did. I ranked him 14th in the NFL in the SEC for a reason, and I contemplated 15th or 16th.
I like this. I like the grammar on this one. I'm not calling you out, B. Will. This B. Will's forehead. This is hilarious. Who NEW Graham Mary was garbage, and we knew exactly what you meant. I think it's arguably funnier because you can read into this deeper and just assume that you're not even giving him the time of day to make sure you spell this correctly.
I mean, that's what I love too.
And this is why I love B. Will's forehead.
Also, God, love these conversations, but I want to point out that to Mike G that Florida is going to let the SEC down tonight.
I was wondering who the first SEC domino was going to be, fellas, and it is clearly Florida.
I could have told you it was going to be Florida.
My big question is how bad is this game if Cam Rising's in and he's healthy and good to go?
Five scores.
The backup quarterback threw a 70-yard bomb on the first offensive play for Utah, and this is a team that loves to run the ball. So we'll take that as you will. Then we got Riley M back straight up. Who has the better running back room than Auburn? I think Auburn is. I know I'm wearing the goggles. I think the only one you could argue with is in the Big Ten, the Big Three, the Big Ten. I think those are the argumentative ones you can make. But
it is confidently the best running back room in the SEC, fellas.
Oh, by far.
I was talking to a good buddy of mine, works in student media over at the University of Georgia the other day, and he goes, "Man, I sure wish that we had a sexy group of running backs like you guys do. Like that's the sexiest position on the field, right?" And he's like, "We don't. It is something that a lot of people wish that they had in the SEC. And you put this stable of running backs on like a Georgia, on like an Alabama, and not only are they national championship contenders, they are clear favorites because they're going to be so dominant."
He was for it again. Didn't even realize I spelled that trash can's name wrong.
And I love that about you. I love that about you, B. Will's forehead.
And we got AJ again with Lane Kiffin is the future of Florida. Now he's the future of Alabama, AJ. he's holding out for that job. We got James Barnett with, fellas, where do you rate our defense now, and where do you think we will end up at the end of the season? I think we are top 14 in the SEC right now.
Okay, top 14 in the SEC. I can get behind that.
Yeah. In the season, hopefully top 7.
I want to make this clear. The way I'm going to answer this question is going to be in the sphere of the SEC. I just don't feel comfortable putting it against the rest of college football because I quite frankly don't think it's that high. There's not a better DB room in the league, so there is that, but there are a lot better front sevens in the league. So it's finding the mixture, and you would think that those two things would average out to about the middle. I think that Auburn probably has the third or fourth best defense in the West. That doesn't mean that they don't have a better defense than most of the East, not named Georgia. I certainly think that they're in the upper third. Does that feel right?
Yeah, I would say yeah.
John, your thoughts?
Oh yeah, I mean Auburn certainly has. Their front seven has a lot of improvement, especially the linebacker position. They have a little ways before they can close that gap that we see. Especially there are some good linebacking cores in the East, but no, I mean Auburn I think has the chance to finish here with if you were to say a top third, so top 7, 6, 5 defense in the league. I don't think that's in the conference. I don't think that's a crazy take in the slightest. I mean, obviously you've got your Georgias and your Alabamas that have, even your LSU that are going to have your top 3, 4 defenses. But Auburn can be right there at the bottom, like right there, just underneath them.
D-Locke. I think D-Locke's frozen again. He's frozen again. Lauren Collins says War Eagle.
Yes. Hold on. That was the comment. There we go. Screenshot that.
Yeah, right. Screenshot that.
Send it to all of your Georgia friends.
That's right. Let's. I'm going to continue going through. You guys continue hitting us with your questions. We are here to discuss those. AJ Rivera mentioned that he thinks that Michigan may be the better running back room if you look at that group.
And there's the argument there. Yeah.
There's the argument there.
Yeah. Then you got AJ. Keep it with AJ. Got the Gus Bus going to run the Big 12. Holy cow. I think we need to pump the brakes a little bit. It was Kent State. We need to chill out with the Gus Bus running the Big 12.
I don't know. I think Gus Malzahn, I think you'll have a ton of success in the Big 12. Not to mention the Big 12 is just not good. But I think UCF is probably going to return to their seat as one of the premier, if not the premier, Group of 5 teams under Gus Malzahn. I mean, that was, in my opinion, this is a conversation for quite literally 2.5 years ago, but the perfect fit for UCF. And the guy looks like he's having fun. So, I mean, let him have fun. Let him run the table. I'm all behind UCF being a serious contender in the Big 12, quite frankly, this year.
And then, see, back to AJ with let's get some more Florida slander in here. Is Freeze going to steal some commits, and what's going to be the Florida mass jump ship? I mean, it's going to happen in 2 locations for Hugh Freeze and the Auburn Tigers. I mean, once Jimbo Fisher gets fired, Cam Coleman's right there, and then Florida now has bukudos of talent that can now be picked up once Billy Napier gets fired in a couple of weeks.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I'm sure Hugh Freeze, if there are guys in the portal, will go after them because that's what Hugh Freeze does. And he really doesn't care if he thinks Auburn stands a chance or not. He thinks Auburn can stand a chance with anybody, which, by the way, folks, that's what Auburn's been missing is a guy that can recruit like that says, I don't care if you don't have interest in my program. I'm going to tell you why you should. And Hugh Freeze is quite frankly very good at that. So maybe, I mean, if there's a massive jump ship from Florida, unfortunately, in that regard, the University of Florida and Daniel, I'll kind of pick your brain here because I feel like you're a little more neutral in this regard. John definitely would fit for this as well, so feel free to chime in. It's one of those programs kids commit to because they want to play football for the University of Florida. It's not always the guy at the front of the ship. And tell me if I'm wrong there.
Yeah, I definitely feel like that's the case. That's why kids were still committing to play for LSU even when they had their pretty significant down period right after they won the national championship. And that's why, Alabama will always have good classes because people just want to play football for the University of Alabama. That's why Nebraska was able to stay somewhat relatively relevant on the recruiting trail.
Notre Dame and USC following that as well.
Absolutely, except Notre Dame's the greatest in the world. We all have our biases. That's mine.
The Georgia Institute of Technology would like a word.
So, I definitely think there's some truth to what you're saying.
I think there's some teeth there. I've got another one I want to highlight here, going back to earlier in the show, talking about the Jarquez Hunter situation. And I'm not going to get into super details. John, I don't know how much did I enlighten you off air about the Jarquez Hunter situation?
Not a lot.
Okay. Jarquez Hunter, subject to controversy in the offseason. That's pretty much all you need to know. Mm-hmm. And we'll once we get a chance, I'll shoot you a text and send you a couple of links so you can kind of read into it, and won't take you very long. Riley M said this has let's keep the NCAA's eyes off of us, so let's self-impose regarding the Jarquez situation, kind of written all over it. I'm not going to touch the sensitivity of the subject, but I'm not going to say you're wrong. I certainly think that there's an element of like I think Ike said this earlier. Ike Jones said this earlier on the show. There had to be some kind of disciplinary action taken towards Jarquez Hunter. When you break team policy, when you get involved in a controversy, regardless of what that looks like I said, I'm not commenting on the nature of all that. But when things like this happen, fellas, you have to do something. And we avoid this conversation like the plague, Dylan, here on the loop with good reason.
Yeah.
But there is an element of, we kind of have neglected to mention that there has to be a consequence for Jarquez Hunter. In that regard, there has to be some kind of action taken, even if it's just as simple as outward appearances, right? So much of it is people-pleasing politics in the NCAA. So Riley M., I think you're kind of spot on there. Let's see, do we have any other questions here?
I got back to just getting some AJ Rivera's. Going to go back to back. AJ James.
Sure.
Going to Shane Hooks. He fits Freeze's desire for 1,000-yard wide receiver in his opinion.
Fellas, this is a reoccurring theme. Daniel, I know that you think it's on the table. I think that I've heard you mention that, and we've all talked to each other to death at this point. I don't know that 1,000-yard receiver is on the table with the amount of rotations we've seen in this wide receiver room. I just don't know what's in the cards because I don't think it's going to be set enough by the time we hit conference play. Am I crazy?
No. This offense is going to be in such a experimental stage for, I feel like at bare minimum, half the season. Hugh Freeze and Philip Montgomery are going to be throwing everything at the wall and seeing what sticks. So if you look at it in 2021, when Peyton Thorne had Javon Reed, I think his name was, at Michigan State, who was a 1,000-yard receiver, my guy got 60 catches. I just don't think an Auburn wideout's really going to get targeted that much this year. I definitely think there's some capability of some guys to do it, but I just don't think the Rock's going to get there in their way enough.
John, this kind of falls into your court, and I'm not asking you on specifics, but your alma mater hired you were there when they hired Clay Helton, correct?
Yes, I was.
So you were kind of there in the first year of a correctional campaign in terms of kind of redirecting the ship at Georgia Southern, and so you can kind of speak to this after witnessing it firsthand. How tough is it to establish an identity on especially on the offensive side of the ball when you've got a guy that's coming in and installing so much new stuff? I think Clay Helton at Southern certainly fits that bill.
Oh yeah, it's wild. Daniel kind of alluded to though exactly what Clay Helton did this first year. He threw everything at the wall to see what stuck. We had games where we ran for like 250, 300 yards. That's what we've done our whole time with Georgia Southern. It's kind of our bread and butter. But we also had days where our quarterback was just told, hey, sling it 40, 50 times a game. That's how we beat James Madison. He has the most passing yards in a single game in Georgia Southern's history, beating James Madison when they were ranked. We also had games early in the season where it was so weird because you had to try to find what worked for your team right then and there. That's what I think is going to be kind of what's not holds Auburn back from that idea of having 1,000-yard receiver, but it's what's going to slow it down of, hey, listen, we've got a lot to figure out offensively. Let's find our foundation. What is our foundation? I think for Auburn, it's all about limiting turnovers and controlling the game tempo the way that you like it. And you do that with your stable of running backs, right? And so with that, I think that you're not going to have a wide receiver that's going to have 1,000 yards. You may have a few 600, 700-yard receivers, but the majority of your offense, the majority of where that's going to come from is not going to come through the air. It's going to come through controlling the tempo, grinding it out, and running the ball. It's very different from a Clay Helton style of game.
Right.
Going to Georgia Southern games, my freshman, sophomore, junior year, those games were 2.5 hours and it was over with. And now with Clay Helton, 2.5 hours, you're halfway through the third quarter. It's air raid and it's really, it's a lot slower of a game. But for Auburn, I think your main goal this year is find your identity, and I think you find your identity running through the trenches.
Now, Auburn's first games are against, obviously, UMass. We're beating that horse to death. And then next week, we get a really fun week previewing Auburn at Cal. That game's at like 10:30 Eastern. So I'm actually going to watch that after a wedding. Shout out scheduling. And then you get Samford before you have to take on eventually Texas A&M. Is 3 weeks enough time? Is it enough to install? And this is open to the general public, gentlemen. Is it enough time to build that identity that we're talking about? The defense, at some point by game 5, the defense is going to be what it's going to be. That's kind of true. Yeah, AJ Rogera says, wait, we play UMass this week? True, dude. I had kind of forgotten all about it. But is 3 weeks enough time with 3 non-cons, only one being a P5? Can you establish an offensive identity before you walk into College Station, one of the loudest venues in the country, and play your first true SEC road games?
Yeah, I think you can. Because think of it, it's like the NFL preseason, basically. You kind of get 3-0 games to kind of figure out what you're going to do offensively, and that's what they're going to do for this, and defensively
Cal's
as well.
not a nothing game. I'm sorry, buddy. Cal's not a nothing game.
It's
a glorified nothing game, but it's not a nothing game.
But Auburn's not going to lose to Cal. But I think you get 3 tune-up games before you get into Texas A&M, who at this point has kind of been a little tested at this point because they hopefully have just lost to Miami. And then, well, hopefully, I don't know. I want them to lose to Miami, but also I want to be the one that gets Jimbo Fisher fired.
You're torn.
I do love the U.
That's right.
But I also love this U.
Daniel, I'll ask you and John both the same question. We'll start wrapping this thing up because I think we're kind of fizzling, which is fine. This has gone 2:40. Holy cow!
We got 3 more comments.
Is 3 games enough to establish an offensive identity?
No, not this year.
I'm with you.
To have an offensive identity established by your 4th game of the year, you need a couple things. Not a quarterback where it's his first year with your program, or one where you need a quarterback who played for your program the year before and maybe didn't start, but yeah, at least like played a lot the year before. You need that. And you need returners all over the board, and you just don't have that. So basically, some of what I said, you need experience, and there's some experience there, but not in an Auburn uniform.
Putting a bow on that before John, I'm going to let you run. I'm going to echo what Daniel said. He's over here, actually. I'm doing the Daniel thing where I can't point. Continuity, right? I think that's the buzzword. You need more continuity than what Auburn has this year. Do I think Auburn can be a very good football team this year in terms of exceeding people's expectations? Absolutely. Do I think that you have an offensive identity clearly defined by Texas A&M and going to play in Aggie land? No, I don't. I don't think that that's enough time, and you don't have a quality enough opponent before then to really gel. Especially when John, this whole offensive line's not played together, man. Like what can you do there? Throw me a bone here.
Yeah, no, I'm actually it's really fun the comparisons. Looking at my alma mater in Georgia Southern and Auburn, different situations in many, obviously completely different conferences that play completely different styles of football. But for me, the big thing is Georgia Southern had those same type of deals. We had, not only was our offensive line completely different in terms of we had, I think, 3 of our 5 new starters. We had 3 of 5 new guys playing, but they had to go from our returning guys or guys that were there had to beef up. They had to get bigger. They had to learn how to pass protect because all they learned was how to run the ball. All they learned was how to move and swing. And so it didn't take us probably our first 6-7 weeks to really get our offensive identity down. We were winning games at that point, but our offense just looked different each week because it wasn't exactly what we needed. And so for Auburn, it's going to be hard to get there by week 4 against A&M. But I will say, Dylan kind of talked about it. You can use these 3 games kind of as a preseason almost. Make Cal your dress rehearsal game. If you're going to run the most the most of your playbook that you want to run, or you want to try to fit your identity into what Auburn football is going to look like, do it against Cal. Because against Samford, you can kind of just, throw stuff at the wall, see what sticks, try things that maybe you wouldn't try against an Arkansas, against an Ole Miss, use UMass just to get through, get the people excited about, get through it, find some things that you want to clean up, but use Cal as your dress rehearsal. Use Cal as that game to really open up that offense and see what that identity is supposed to look like. Maybe not this year, but next year and years moving forward.
Right on. Dylan, you want to get us to those last couple questions and let's get out of here.
Yeah, and then just James Barnett again, talking about the quarterbacks. Remember that Hugh Freeze did say that Thorne has to play well to keep his job. I don't think that's coach speak.
I do. I don't think Peyton Thorne can go out and stink it up, but I think his job's a little safer than most people might think it is.
Robbie time.
Yeah, okay. Daniel, you want to chime in on that at all?
Thorne.
Yeah.
He's the guy. 245. Let's keep it rolling.
Got a prediction from AJ Rivera. We got 34-13. Auburn going to win, but not be too dominant, I think.
Don't hate that. Next.
I don't either.
Then we got James Barnett for the last comment from another Looper. Fellas, I have a question as it relates to quarterback. What game do you think we would need to play Robbie the most because of the opponent's defense?
Georgia.
Yeah.
I think it's plain and simple. I think it's clear cut. You pull all the tricks out of the bag. You pull all the stops. LSU certainly important, and you throw them into that mix, but Georgia's first. And I mean, that's a brutal stretch. You're going to see a lot of Robbie Ashford packages, and he needs to be healthy. But you're going to need to throw him out as a decoy. You're going to need to do goofy stuff, because if you're going to lose to Georgia, you can lose to them anywhere between 3 points and 30 points. If you're going to beat Georgia, you're going to beat them by like 2. And you're going to have to pull out all the stops. I think it's clearly Georgia.
I think two's highballing there.
yeah, 1.
Yeah,
if there was such thing as half a point.
I'm torn because I think A&M is probably that game. Because A&M, for what they lack offensively, they do have a pretty good defense. So you're going to have to do a little bit more offensively to get the ball moving, so you can get Jimbo Fisher moving out of College Station very soon after that. But yeah, I think Texas A&M is going to be that game.
Any other thoughts on that one? All right, gentlemen, this one has been a blast. John, thanks for hopping back on. Lauren College, War Eagle back on there. If you've not already, like, subscribe, and ring the bell right here on the YouTube. This is a very long episode that we only expected this to be a 2-hour kickoff. I'm not mad that it went 2:45. We started it with John Conley. We ended it with John Conley. And you know what? Damn it, I'm happy about it. Daniel Locke, tell everybody where they can find you, love you, and support you, and let's go to sleep.
Twitter, Daniel J. Locke. Instagram, The Daniel Locke. Threads, The Daniel Locke. I'm not going to give you my Snapchat. Some written work. Auburn Daily, Braves Today, 1819 News. Get at me over there. I've been working hard, been grinding. I haven't been sleeping. I've been trying to get content out for you. So go check it out if you want.
Always on his grind set. John, you already shouted yourself out. I'm just going to say John Lee 49, right?
That's right. John Lee 49 on everything. Yep.
Thanks for hanging out with us again, our G5 analyst, John Conley. Always a pleasure to have him on the show, back on the show. Maybe twice in one day, guys. You got the John Conley double feature. So you're super welcome for that. I'm Harrison Tarr, at by Harrison Tarr, the Bird app, X app, whatever you want to call it. Also at by Harrison Tarr on Threads if you want to come hang out. Like I said, like, subscribe, ring the bell right here on the YouTube, guys. We want to be at 1,000 at the end of this football season. And you guys are the reason we can keep doing this. You guys are the reason the War Rapport took a giant gamble on us. And man, we are just over the moon proud to be part of this team. We are kicking butt and taking names this year. Make sure you follow along with our friends over at the Uptempo podcast. Dustin and Blake, they were on earlier today. Mike and Ike, they were on. That's so fun to say, by the way. Mike and Ike, they were on earlier today from the War Rapport. We have got dogs on dogs on dogs just pumping out content for you guys. And it is absolutely, unequivocally the most fun thing I've done in the Auburn media sphere. I'm having a great time. You guys are the reason. Share the good word. Let's keep building this Loop family. Grab your Loop enthusiast, feeling loopy t-shirt, rather. We don't need to throw up on the graphic right now. You guys know where to get it. It's in the description right here. I'm once again asking for you to like, subscribe, and ring that damn bell. Dylan, tell everybody where to find us, love us, and support us.
Well, before I do that, let me just go ahead and shout out everybody else that was on the show tonight. You got John Lee, who just announced his Twitter. You got Vince Wolfram at Vince Wolfram 15, at the War Report, both at TWR Ike Jones and at Mike Gittens. Believe me, I know y'all are already following them. You also got at the Uptempo Pod with at Dustin or DM Michaud, I believe that's how you say it, 28. And then you got Hillman at Jacob Hillman AU, Jacob Waters at Jacob Waters _, and then Zach Card at Zach Card _ as well. We want to thank everybody for tuning in. We want to thank everybody for showing up. And I love talking. I love doing the live streams. We definitely should do this more often because I love conversing with all the fellow loopers out there. And as Tarr said, go get your Feeling Loopy shirt. We might be starting a hashtag very soon. Just hashtag Feeling Loopy, and we might potentially.
We didn't start it. John Conley started it for us.
Exactly.
That's right, baby.
We're gonna start doing that. So maybe in the future, maybe y'all could just get some free Feeling Loopy merch. Maybe that could happen very soon.
I don't know whose budget that's coming out of, but let's get out of here.
Of course, I'm Dylan Larck at your boy the Tank on Twitter /X. It redirects, and it's just right there. First try. Just want to rub that in a little bit on both of y'all. And of course, you also have me on Instagram at Dylan Larck at DYLANLARCK. And then you can also follow us here at the College Loop. Like, comment, and subscribe here on the YouTube. We want to get to 1,000 just so our intern, now full-time employee, Colin Beiersdorf, will have to run the MySpace that he has to make. And he has to make that daggum TikTok. He has still not done that.
He does.
Well, of course, you have us on social media as well. You have us on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and, of course, Twitter /X. And you, of course, have us on YouTube again, where you should like, comment, subscribe. Cannot emphasize that enough. And if you're tired of seeing our faces, I don't blame you. Look at Tarr. Look at him.
Yeah.
Let it sink in. Just look
But
at
then
him
look
right
at John,
there.
and it feels better.
Yeah, I mean, you're lucky that Mike is just in the middle of his face. But if you're tired of seeing it, I completely get it. You can go check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Amazon Music. But with all that being said, I'm going to throw up Lauren one more time. She loves us and the College Loop.
War Eagle, guys.
War Eagle.
Auburn football in 2 days.
Auburn football in 1 day, if you're
One
watching
day.
this, because it's now very late. So if you're watching it tomorrow after the start came out, 1 day away. But with all that being said, this has been the College Loop podcast.